Tonight on the Black Channel. You know, there are so many things I could talk about this weekend, but I found one thing here in particular that I think encapsulates the state of politics and how the general public doesn't understand that this is one big game, one big good old boys game, and you ain't in it. This is none other than United States Senator Rand Paul. He was talking to Meet the Press, and they had something to ask him. And I want you all to listen to how this exchange went.
About you. This was a post made about you. This was a post on Friday night. Let me read you, get your reaction on the other side. He said, quote, "Whatever happened to Senator Rand Paul? He was never great, but he went really bad. I got him elected twice in the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, but he just never votes positively for the Republican Party. He's a nasty little guy." Why do you think President Trump is targeting you, Senator?
I think the problem is this, is that in Washington, what I represent, some people describe as unusual, and the president describes it as weird that I'm for less debt and balanced budgets. But, you know, when I come home to Kentucky or when I travel the United States, people come up to me and say, stick to your guns. You're the only voice up there, Republican or Democrat, who's still talking about the debt and still talking about balanced budgets. But I don't take it too seriously. Look, I've known the president for over a decade. I've played golf with him many times. I enjoy his company. I was one of his biggest defenders on impeachment and would do so again. I think he's one of the best presidents, if not the best presidents of my lifetime. But it doesn't mean I will sit quietly and just say, oh, well, whatever you want to do. I was elected to have a voice, and so I continue to be a voice, like on the bombing of the Venezuelan boats. I think that's inappropriate. War with Venezuela without Congress's opinion or Congress's weighing in and authorization is inappropriate. The tariffs are bad for the economy. But it doesn't mean I dislike Donald Trump. So he gets mad at me sometimes, but I'm still one of his best supporters if he's willing to have it.
What? Well, I wanted to play that for you all because year after year, it's necessary to remind people. It's necessary to give people a reminder of exactly what politics actually is. So many people are so confused, so deceived. They don't understand what politics actually is and how it actually works. I'm going to back up here again so you can see that I think that's Kristen Welker who showed them. This is what Donald Trump said about you just a couple of days ago, Senator Rand Paul.
This was a post on Friday night. Let me read you, get your reaction on the other side. He said, quote, "Whatever happened to Senator Rand Paul? He was never great, but he went really bad. I got him elected twice in the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, but he just never votes positively for the Republican Party. He's a nasty little guy."
Now, folks, you got to understand, if it was among other groups in black society, you talk like this, you've made an enemy for life. Oh, you've made an enemy for life if you do that. Especially you go public like that. That's it. It's Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, hammer and tong. Trump takes to Truth Psycho or whatever that website is he's over there on. And this is what he's saying about a Republican senator. And he's done this before, but that's not the real point. That's not the real point. The real point is how Senator Paul responded to it.
In balanced budgets. But, you know, when I come home to Kentucky or when I travel the United States, people come up to me and say, stick to your guns. You're the only voice up there, Republican or Democrat, who's still talking about the debt and still talking about balanced budgets. But I don't take it too seriously. Look, I've known the president for over a decade. I've played golf with him many times. I've been president for over a decade. I've played golf with him many times. I've known the president for over a decade. I've played golf with him many times.
And I think that right there says it all. I really do think that right there just tells you everything you need to know. When you think about it for a moment, playing golf with Trump, that means you got to get into the country club. If you're going to be playing golf with Trump, people, if you're literally going to be playing golf with him, then you got to literally get into the country club. Literally. And Senator Paul is obviously able to get into the country club with Trump, quote, unquote, many, many times. See, this is the difference between the people who are actually on the inside and the clones and coons sitting in the parking lot who don't understand that you're not in the damn game. You're barely even a pawn on the chessboard. This is the game. This is how it's played. These are the folks who are actually in it. And so much of this is political theater for your consumption. But when you get down to the brass tacks, this is what they really own. This is what they're really about. You got folks out there in the streets talking about no kings and all this stuff here. You got folks on January 6th and all that stuff. And then when it really comes down to it, that's not even what it is. Not even what it is. You're not even in the game. That's the point I'm making. You're not even in the game. And I want to show you what these folk think of that. You heard what Donald Trump said there. You saw what he said. It's still up there for the world to see. And Senator Paul comes back with, I don't take it too seriously. I play golf with him all the time. He's got a big supporter in me. Do you understand what that really means? What that really means, what that truly means, is that whenever you hear these people speak, it means something totally different than what you tell yourself it means. Deception is the heart of warfare. And if you can hear the president make very pointed insults to Senator Paul, and you take it one way, and meanwhile the man who is the target of it takes it another, do you understand just how much of what these people say at this point that you absolutely cannot believe? You see, I don't play with either political party. I never have. A lot of folks here talk like that talk. I don't just talk the talk. I walk the walk. And so you've never seen me telling you all to support one or the other. When people have asked me, Jason, who should we vote for? I always say the same answer: Black empowerment. Sometimes voting for Black empowerment takes place at the ballot box and the voting booth. But there are plenty of times that voting for Black empowerment does not involve that. Now, I want to say that to make one more point to you all here. I want y'all to understand that that's how things get done. Every audience isn't necessarily equally agreeable. So that is why we as a people here, these things do not get accomplished. You don't get success on social media and what is presented as the face forward to the people. Those of you who are old enough now, you've seen them many a day, many a time. These Democrats and Republicans, particularly the old ones, talk all this stuff in public. And then once they get behind closed doors, they very quickly hammer out a deal. And next thing you know, a bunch of stuff that they were telling you that they were against and never gonna fly, and mark my words. And then once they get behind closed doors, oh man, well, they make a deal with each other that is directly contrary to what they were out there preaching to you. Ain't that something? You see, this is why I've been working here to try to recalibrate how people think about these things. I don't give a damn what politicians say in public. That does not concern me. I'm not motivated, prejudiced, impacted by what you say. My only concern is what you do. So I've been telling you all for years, I don't give a damn how they sell our agenda to their constituents they're so worried about. You tell them whatever you need to tell them. Just so long as you cut the check and get the job done. That's all I'm concerned about. People, you can label it whatever you want to label it. I need folks to divorce themselves from the idea that all your plans have to be set out there in the open and whatnot. I'm like, no. That's not really what you want, because saying things in the open makes it a lot easier to attack. Now, the reason why the dominant society can do that is because when you've got power and control, it's a lot harder to knock things down, even if you say it openly. But when you are lacking in power and control, you've got to move in a very sly, stealthy manner. So what that means is that you've got to understand that the way things get presented to people, and as black folk, we've been getting thrown the swerve every time something comes around. You see, the problem with anybody in so-called white liberal society supporting a Charlie Kirk is every time that they want to make an agreement, they always can agree that, well, black folk will be the ones that we don't do anything for, or we can make agreements when it comes at black people's expense. That black people being left out and black people being left ignored, well, that's just the price of allowing white society to keep the peace among itself. And everyone's fine with that. They're all cool with that. We let them keep the peace amongst themselves, but the manner in which they keep the peace is by agreeing that black folk will bear the burden to make the sacrifice of getting nothing. They don't look at their own plates and say, this is what they will not be getting. They take a look at ours and they say, okay, well, we'll make sure they don't get anything. And, oh, well, you go back to the black folk and tell them what they're going to have to give up and sacrifice in order for us to keep the peace. So that's how you end up being a pawn on the board. When you are not allowed to when folks are allowed to keep the peace at your expense. That's where things get problematic when you do that. That's where it gets problematic. I'm saying this tonight because I really want to drill into you all's heads about when folks ask me, Jason, what do we do? When people ask about Jason, what do we do? I get folk who ask those kind of questions and say those kind of things, and I just have to remind them it's not about what do we do. It's about being on code. If you want to talk about what do you do, the first thing you do is be on code. And I'm not just talking about just with each other. I'm not talking about just with each other. I'm talking about across the board with the agenda, that when you're talking to the politicians, that you understand you're not there to give orders, because you're not in the position to be able to give orders, but you are in the position to have an understanding. And part of that understanding is it doesn't matter what it is. Part of the understanding is knowing what it is. At the local level, this is something that we have not been doing either, by the way. At the local level, it comes down to understanding that that is not the way folks have been operating either. You see, if you're going to talk about politics, I want you all to understand something. If you're going to talk about politics and what you're going to do about it, there's several different ways of attacking it. It certainly is. But there's also the groundwork and the footwork that has to be done also. One of the things that's missing is these other folks stay in touch with their politicians, people. That's one thing, by the way. These other folks out here stay in touch with them. They make sure they stay in touch. They make sure that they keep on the phone. They make sure that they keep letting them know they're watching. They keep doing that. They keep doing that. These other people understand the necessity of visibility. When you all talk about AIPAC, understand that AIPAC shows up at these people's offices every damn day. These other folks here as black people, we complain about the politicians only showing up every other year, every 4 years, or every 6 years. And what I'm telling you is that, by the way, if we're only showing up every other year or every 4 years, do you understand where the lack is? Do you understand where you're lacking at if you're only going to show up every year or every 4 years? With as far behind as we are, you have to remain visible and you have to remain constant. I do this program every weekend because this is remaining visible and remaining constant on the media end of it. But I'm letting you all know, by the way, that's the component that's been missing. That's the component that's been missing. When you have an agenda, when you actually have an agenda, you done spoke to these people already and whatnot, and you've done what is necessary. Those are the kinds of things that are missing. I want to go back here and remind you all one more time that the old niggas of the civil rights generation, they walked alongside the white supremacists, and they agreed with the white supremacists that the price of keeping the peace would be selling out the children. That as long as white daddy gave them what they needed, well, who's going to end up on the short end of the stick after we make this deal? Okay, the kids will. Whatever needs to be sacrificed, take it from them. And that's why the politicians sat there and said, okay, deal done. Oh, Jason, you're speaking in abstracts. Didn't nobody ever do that? That never happened, Jason. You're just making things up. Oh, really? So there's a reason why with other folk they would talk like that, but you will never see them raise a peep here because they don't want to have to give an accounting of this. People, when you had the crime bill, back in 94 and 95, when you had the crime bill, 3 strikes, you're out. Bill Clinton was trying to sell the country on the idea that these are the new Democrats. They were trying to sell them on the idea that we're the new Democrats and we're going to, quote, have a crackdown on crime. And the old niggas in Congress and the Senate and the NAACP, they sat right there with Bill Clinton and said, well, if this is the price of being empowered, well, you're not taking anything from the Republicans, you're not taking it from the Democrats, and the old niggas showed up, well, don't take anything from us. Okay, well, who's going to have to sacrifice something? Oh, take it from the kids, take it from the young folk. Make sure I keep getting mine, but you take it from them young folk over there. People, what? Please understand something. When you talk about quote unquote crime and whatnot, it's not a bunch of senior citizens running around carjacking and holding up liquor stores. That's crime is a young person's game. Let me explain something to you. Crime is a young person's game. What do I mean by that? I mean that when a young person commits a crime, he has a little less consideration about it, because you see, if you're 20 years old and, back in the old days with the mafia, you made your bones. If you went to prison and you stayed quiet, you were declared a stand-up guy. But what broke the mafia were the RICO laws, and the RICO laws allowed them to throw 100 years at you. Back in the old days, you committed a crime, you did 3 or 5 years, you had to sit down for a minute for 3 to 5 years, but then you got out and you got back to the game again. But when they started saying, oh, we ain't throwing 3 or 5 years at you, we're throwing 3 or 5 decades at you, all of a sudden, folks started flipping on people. They started giving folk up. They started pointing the finger. They started testifying. They started giving up state's evidence. That's what it became then. Because you see, when you're 20 years old, you might be able to give up 3 or 5 years. But if you 55 and 65 years old, can you give up 10 or 20 years? So there comes the issue. So the old niggas, when they get older, when you're younger, you can go out and go get into some mischief and some nonsense and whatnot, and you might be willing to do the time when you do the crime. But eventually you get to a point where that's not really an option for you. Eventually you get to a point where pulling that kind of weight, and that's not really something you can do. So that's when you start looking for other things. All of a sudden, getting a normal job. You said, I ain't got to do that mess. Let me go do some crime. As soon as they start throwing real numbers at you, like, okay, I got to make some life decisions. I've been in and out of jail for a decade or two. I don't have any money, any savings. So either I'm going to get institutionalized and stay in the joint with these other dudes up in here with your prison husband, or you gonna get out here on the streets and try to live however many remaining free days you can. Those are the choices you have to make. When you're a young person, you don't have to do that kind of math when you think about doing a crime. But once you start getting older, you have to start doing that kind of math. So you see, the old niggas in the 90s were like, oh, well, we done with that. Because understand something. Like I say, I remind you all the time about how it is that it used to not be a felony to not pay child support. Back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, if you didn't pay child support, well, you just owed the state. But then they started changing the laws in the late 80s and the 90s. And all of a sudden, child support for the men, not for the women, but child support suddenly became a crime. Okay, I've highlighted that to you all for years and years. But please understand, a bunch of other things all of a sudden went from being a slap on the wrist or minor offenses, and all of a sudden now you got to pull a heavy weight for that too. See, it wasn't until the so-called war on drugs that really you had to do serious time for possessing drugs. Back in your grandparents' and your parents' day, back in the days of Studio 54, back in the 60s and 70s and whatnot, having weed wasn't no big offense like that. Hell, having cocaine wasn't no big offense like that. They used to be, the way that drug trafficking used to work was you used to just walk right through the airport with it. What? See, back in the old days, you just walked right through the airport with it. But when they started having the crackdown, next thing you know, everything came with teeth. Yeah, folks, I mean, back in the old days, you just walked through the airport with the package. Remember, they didn't do body checks. You didn't have body scanners. You didn't have drug sniffing dogs. Man, back in the old days, you just walked right through airport security. Pablo Escobar Air. Folks, body scanners are a post 9/11 invention. That's not something they were doing in the 60s and 70s. Before then, you just walked through the airport with your damn luggage. You walk through the airport with your carry-on or your check bag. You just walk through the airport with that. Straight out the front door. Shout out Griselda Blanco. That's not fiction. That's not just a movie. That's reality. That's what you used to be able to do. Can't do it no more. And if you get caught now, back in the old days, if you got caught, you did a few years. You try it now, you're doing a few decades. See, them old folk had no problem dropping the hammer on the next generation because, you see, they had already looted the store and smashed and grabbed everything decades before that, so they already got their profits out the game. They already got everything they were going to get out the game. So you see, at that point right there, it was obsolete for them. So when they made the deal about, okay, we can get the Democrats elected if we're going to be tough on crime. Well, who's going to pay the price for that? Who exactly are we going to sell out for that? In order that you can get elected and, quote, keep the peace. Well, who's going to pay for it? Oh, we'll just pass it on to the kids. We'll just pass it on to them. Yeah, nobody ever explained it to you like that. And if you all take a look at the folk in your families, by the way, you'll notice I've been having to pull you all's attention to this for years now. When you get them old niggas around, they don't really have any problem talking about what the young folk are trouble and the young folk need to get out the streets. Remember, after Trayvon Martin got killed, I've been reminding you all about this for over a decade. I said it then. It wasn't no old niggas in the streets. It was our generation and our peers. We were the ones in the streets. The old niggas was at the church talking about y'all need to get out the streets making all that noise. Y'all just need to pray about it and vote Democrat. That was what the old niggas said, and that's why we ran all the old niggas up off the block. Remember, I reminded you a decade ago when Reverend Al Sharpton showed up, he was the first one they ran up off the block. Something that, by the way, why is it that didn't happen back in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s? Why is it that the civil rights generation didn't do what we did then? What was stopping them? I point out to all of y'all, all the old niggas and the Jesse Jacksons and stuff. I'm like, man, you don't carry no weight here. And if you show up, folks are going to boo you and run your ass up out of here. And that's exactly what they did. Why is it that they didn't do it for the previous 3 generations there, right there, by the way? And by the way, has anybody noticed that Reverend Al has kept his little old MSNBC show? What? All right. Well, in any case, I want to let you all know that when these folks get together and start making their deals and stuff, they start selecting who it is that's going to come up on the short end of the stick so that they all can keep the peace amongst each other. Who's going to pay the bill for them keeping the peace? Who are we going to pass this bill on to? I'm just letting you know, by the way, yeah, they do this in politics all the time, but you've been specifically targeted in that regard. Specifically targeted to say, okay, you'll pay the cost, you'll pay the price, you'll pay the trade-off. And then the old niggas go back with the politicians and laugh and giggle. Long as Joe Biden showed up at their church, the old niggas, they did not say a damn word about 3 strikes. 3 strikes is not an offense to the old niggas. He said niggas how much there? I so did.
And deal with it, nigga.
I so did. The old niggas were the ones grinning and laughing when Biden showed up at their churches. A bunch of elderly, rickety, handicapped fossils who back in the day were the biggest sluts and deadbeat degenerate males you ever met. And then got the nerve to sit up here and wear all white or show up in one of their funeral suits. And Biden shows up at the church and all those snaggle-toothed, raggedy-ass senior morons sat up here and they were just grinning their asses off. It was my generation. It was the young who pushed back against that and said, to hell with this, Mr. Three Strikes. It was my generation that did that. I'm going to say something here tonight, and it is going to be unsettling to some people, but it's absolutely the truth. It may be unsettling to some people, but it's absolutely the truth. You see, people, these folks here had their chance to learn about this when Dr. King wrote the letter from Birmingham jail. Dr. King warned the black church, and I've done that program here on this channel to let you all know Dr. King was warning the black church back then. Dr. King, a young black man in his 30s, was warning the black church back then that if the black church did not stop being some sort of pseudo-religious beauty pageant where they sit around bull jiving and playing, he said the black church runs the risk of becoming completely irrelevant. That was what he told them. I highlighted that for you all. And if the black church became all about not became, because even in his day, it was about fun and games and being used by the political establishment. And he warned them specifically to the black church, if you don't stop this nonsense, you are going to lose the young and you are going to lose your influence. Brothers and sisters from around the world, Joe Biden was the last snake-like fossil that could slither his way through a black church. Remember what happened when Kamala Harris attempted to do the same thing? How did that work out? How did that go when Kamala Harris tried to go back to the old standby? How did that go? Anyway. And in 2024, nobody was going to the church at all. The church, people, the church is not on its way to losing its influence. The black church, the prophecy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has come to pass. You are not on the way to losing your influence. You have already lost it. It's already gone. The only folks going to the church today are all the old senior citizen fossils who their eyesight is still good enough to drive, but the church ain't pulling any weight. It doesn't have any influence. It doesn't have any sway. It squandered that. It squandered that years and truthfully decades ago. You can name the number of ones that are saying the right thing on one hand, but as far as being a political force, the church has lost that. That's gone. That's through. That's over. No one is looking to the church for its political endorsement or influence. They're online. They're on social media. But where they're not is at the church. Let me explain to you why that is. You see, the problem with the church, people, is the same thing that I pointed out or was attempting to point out last night with Congressman J.D. Gestapo Vance. The church is, pardon the expression, preaching to the choir. They are talking to the people who are going to vote blue no matter who and shut up no matter what. Well, the problem with that is that just like the Cracker Barrel restaurants, Cracker Barrel was trying to change things because that's what smart businesses do. You're hot in one era, but if you do not reinvent yourself for a new era, your competitors, who are the contemporaries of the new era, will take over dominance from you, and you'll just be left holding on desperately to your aging customer base that is slowly but surely dying out. So if you do not bring in new customers to replenish the customer base, you will just sit there with this dwindling customer base until eventually it's exhausted and you go extinct. That is the problem with preaching to the choir. That's the problem with being monosyllabic. Look it up. That's the problem with only being able to speak one way, not having the ability to speak to multiple constituencies about multiple issues and to remain up to date and contemporary. They don't have that. And when you have grown dependent on preaching to the choir, you become tone deaf, you lose it. You start thinking that you're leading them and that they're not leading you. That's the issue. That's the issue. And the Democrats and the church, they spent a very long time comforting themselves. They spend a whole lot of time comforting themselves. But what they're not doing is actually changing the dynamic. What I'm saying is they've been left behind. What I'm telling you is that they've been left behind. And they were left behind because, you see, when the church should have been engaging us, when the church should have been talking to us, they weren't doing that. In the chat room, C Love. I want to get C Love up here on Zoom for me here. So let me go ahead and throw the link to the Zoom up in the chat room for you all here. So C Love, I'm so glad you asked that question. I'll be very glad to answer that for you. So let's go ahead and pin that Zoom link to the chat top of the room here. Let me go ahead and get that Zoom link up here for it. Let's go ahead and have a parlay here, C Love. I'm so glad you said that. Yes, I read everything. Yes, I'm still saying, let me go ahead and holler at you right quick. Very, very important. Very, very important here. So, folks, when you grow accustomed to being dependent on folks approving of you, you start to get lax and lazy. You start telling yourself you don't need anything else. You start telling yourself that's not a problem. And as a result, you grow tone deaf. And when you grow tone deaf, that becomes the end of you. In the chat room, C Love, stop commenting in the chat room there. I meant what I said. So let me go ahead. I'll give you 5 minutes here, but in the meantime, you are not allowed to comment anymore. So the host will be waiting here. Now, I want you all to understand here that type of tone deafness, you can do that. You can do that when you are safe and sound, but you are not able to do that when you actually have to substantiate and justify your existence. You're not able to do that when you have to justify your existence. That's the point. These other folks out here, what they've done is that a lot of people are talking, they're talking behind the scenes, but they're not talking where we are. Now, that's been the major issue. That's been the major difference. Their failure to come talk to us basically indicated that they were assuming that we would remain their faithful flunkies and that we would just vote for them because, well, mama and daddy did it. What they never counted on is that there would be a sustained conversation that would take place not over the course of weeks or months or years, but over the course of decades. And that a new national conversation was going to take place, and that the old niggas and the politicians that followed them were going to be left behind. That wasn't what they bargained on. You see, they thought to themselves if they had enough money and enough time and enough promotion that all of this would go away. What they didn't count on is that the street is talking to the street. That's what they didn't count on. My issue with the black politicians is not what they say about us in public. That's not my issue. My issue is what they do. I would be perfectly content with them to be as negative as they wish to be. They can name call or whatever about us as much as they wish to, so long as they do what we told them to do. If they did that, I wouldn't have any complaints. I would not have that. Problem is they're not even doing that part, and that's where things get treacherous. You see, they're supposed to be coming and talking to us. They have no problem rallying with a Charlie Kirk, but then we show up and all of a sudden folks don't know how to speak, and no, we don't need to talk about that. So that's why it was necessary for us to step back since 2016 and let the damn dogs have them so that they understand, hey, we're not going to play this game where you play dumb. We're not going to have this game where you play dumb. All right, let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom right quick. All right, I got my man Chris Love up here. Go ahead and unmute yourself, brother.
What's going on?
There you go. All right, brother. Well, definitely, I'm so glad you said that there. I wanted to go ahead and give you an opportunity to chop it up with you here for a moment about that, because folks might not quite understand what you mean. So why don't you go ahead and clarify it to them?
Well, first of all, the wasn't deleting comments. It's just when you're on slow mode.
No, sir. It's not about deleting comments. If I time you out, it's gonna hide your comments.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's not someone deleting comments or running away from this comment section. But what I was simply stating was that in the comment section, it seems like there's anti-Democrat Party rhetoric, which is fine, but it didn't see anything pro-FBA or anti-Republican establishment as well, which is the real, nexus of what you're talking about, which is being pro-black agenda. So I just see that when I watch the show a lot of times, I get into the comment section, I just see this anti-Democrat thing. It's like, no, it's pro-black agenda across the board, regardless of political party. So we're just seeing that a lot infiltrated in your comment section. And, that happens every couple of shows or so, but I always drop that question in from time to time. And people wanted to put in there.
Okay. Well, let me see if we can help clarify a few things for you in that regard.
In the comment section, not you. You've addressed it poignantly.
Well, yeah, but I think you're having a misunderstanding about something, and maybe this is an opportunity for me to help clarify a few things for you.
What's the misunderstanding? What do you think is a misunderstanding?
Well, because I'm not guessing about it. I want to read that directly. What happened to FBA versus Democrats/Republicans? I see a lot of anti-Democrat party, but not anti-Republican party. So let me go ahead and address that one first.
What was the next comment after that, where I said I was only talking to the
You said, however, I mean, brother, I can read all of that there, but I mean, you just repeated it when I asked you to explain. You just reiterated about the same thing. So I'm stopping on that part right there. I'm stopping on what I just read there. On that right there, calm yourself down. On that right there, that's the part that I was talking about, and that's the part I'm saying that I just asked you to clarify it, and you did. What you did was you repeated about just that part there, and I'm like, okay, good. Now that we have a clear understanding, let me go ahead and explain to you where I think some of your misunderstanding comes from. It is not necessary to articulate a quote unquote anti-Republican stance or agenda. The reason why that's not necessarily required is because here we regard them both as twin wings on the bird of white supremacy. So when we talk about Democrat and Republican, we don't mean that as the Democrat Party or the Republican Party. We are simply we're just simply articulating which wing of white supremacy that we are focusing on this week or during this discussion.
Correct.
But otherwise, we regard them as the uniparty.
Correct. I know. I've listened to your show for a couple of years now. What I'm saying specifically,
by the way, if you've listened to me for a couple of years, why do you keep calling it show?
Nigga, what?
That's how I regard it. So what's the difference?
Okay. If you've been listening for a few years.
Back to my main point, though, Jason.
If you've been listening for a few years, I'm surprised.
Excuse me. Gotcha. Comment in your section. Some people just went against anti-Democrat. It didn't seem FBA to me. You see what I'm saying?
No, I don't understand that.
Okay, well then that's.
I don't understand. I don't understand what does that mean?
That there were people in your comment section of this broadcast that were saying not both FBA. They were more leaning onto that being, anti-Democrat party versus the uniparty, all that stuff that we normally address, or it normally comes out in your comment section or within your show.
Okay. I'm not really sure why that's an issue for you. I think it's a little suspect. I understand the English language. I understand the English language pretty well. So for that reason, I'm pretty certain that I'm not misunderstanding anything. It seems that you are defensive about Democrats.
No, I'm not. I put that in my comment as well.
Yeah, but my thing is, why would we be worried about that one way or the other? That's just a little strange.
Because what you have sometimes in your comment section is that you have people who are not genuine or disingenuous in their comments, that they're not fighting for that. They're not fighting for an FBA.
They're not fighting for what?
They're not fighting for an FBA agenda in the comments.
Okay, I don't see how not mentioning Republicans equates to not working for an FBA agenda.
You don't?
No, sir. That's why I just said I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
So when you're not acknowledging at all times the uniparty theory that you just laid out?
It's not necessary to do that at a granular level because we regard both both parties with the same level of contempt.
In general, yes, the chat does do that, but there are specific entities that don't. That's what I was addressing. And that's why my follow-up comment was what it was. And one of your moderators gave the thumbs up and said, okay, we get it.
Right. But I'm just saying I'm not one of the moderators. I'm the host. And that's why I'm saying, by the way, I'm listening to what you said and I've read what you said and I'm listening to what you keep saying every time I say that. So no, there's not a misunderstanding. No, there's not. You're very defensive. I just couldn't help but notice. I just couldn't help but notice you were rather defensive of the Democrats.
How did I give me an example of how I was defensive of Democrats?
Because for some strange reason, you want people to mention negativity about, quote, the Republicans.
Both parties. No, I said anti-Democrat and anti-Republican. I said
Sir,
both.
You do realize this is all live and recorded. Everybody can play the words back.
You realize that it's actually in the chat what I said, anti-both?
Okay, sir.
I get.
You were asked to clarify several times, and you have clarified. And I'm just saying, by the way, folks, he's saying the same thing. So,
which is being against both parties, correct? That's what I've been saying. That's the crux.
Well, certainly hold both parties in the same level of contempt.
Yes.
So so you haven't seen anybody.
Do that.
Who is it you saw who was pro-Republican?
I never said it pro-Republican.
Okay,
I said never mentioned it. That's what my comment said.
And right, and that's the point. Is that that's what I'm saying. I think actually you might be new here. Because if you weren't, then you would know that. Okay, sir, calm down. It's all right.
I'm calm.
Okay,
I'm calm.
sir.
Jason, I don't know why
The,
you're saying I'm
the
not
host is talking, sir. Calm down.
Okay, we're having a conversation.
This isn't the talk over people place. Calm down. Calm
No,
down.
you're telling
Calm
me
down.
I'm calm.
Brother, calm down.
Okay.
If the host
I'm
is
calm.
you're not calm if the host is talking and you talking. That's not calm, brother. So calm
Okay,
down.
so you're saying to me that's the
Calm
same
down
thing.
for a
Okay,
moment.
That's a different thing.
Now, yeah, the sassy thing doesn't work. Calm down.
I'm not being sassy,
Sir,
Jason, but I
the host is talking, less sass, more listen.
Sure, that's what you're going to go with.
Republicans, we don't have to call out Republicans because in this place, that's all understood. I'm saying that by the nature of your comments, you obviously don't understand that. So
No,
I'm taking this as a moment to clarify and to have a teaching moment. Obviously,
There's no
you don't.
teaching moment,
Sir,
sir.
do you realize that nobody in the comments section took it the way you said? Nobody had to be clarified or anything. Did you notice that?
When I clarified it, then why did the moderator give me a thumbs up?
Well, yes, sir. What I'm saying is that I'm not. I'm going to say this a second,
nobody.
sir. I'll say this, sir. I'll say this a second time, sir. I'm not the moderators. I'm the host.
But you just said no one agreed.
Yeah, sir. You're invoking the no. I'm saying that nobody agreed with your nobody's talking. People should be talking about the Republicans thing. Nobody agreed with you on that.
So no one agrees that both parties are held accountable.
Okay, let me say this a second. Let me say this a second time since you're not listening. Let me say this a second time. No one has agreed or co-signed your we need to be talking anti-Republican.
That's not the point. I didn't just say anti-Republican.
Sir, that is I read your words. And
no. You read a part of the statement.
Right.
You didn't read the follow-up comments that I made after that.
Sir, I've got all your comments. Sir, I have all your
then
comments right here.
Read the immediate follow-up then. That your moderator get a thumbs up for, Jason.
Well, folks,
can you do that?
Folks, I will help Sassy for just a moment here, but then I have to move on.
Sassy,
sir,
whatever it is, Jason.
Calm down, Mr. Love. Calm down.
That's
calm down.
That's the full government too. So
okay,
what is?
Sir,
I'm actually calm, Jason.
Calm down. You asked for something, sir. I will go ahead and do that, but stop. You need to be quiet. However, you got our folks saying don't be outside protesting in the streets anymore. Being in the streets makes you a target for aggressive crowd control tactics.
Yes, that's one comment.
That was the thing you said right after it.
So what was that addressing? What point was that addressing before? That was addressing the idea that there was no one outside previously in the 1960s and the 1990s, the Million Man March. And that now you have young people coming out saying, like, hey, maybe we should not be outside protesting because of the aggressive crowd control tactics. That's what that comment was, the context.
Okay, we were outside. We've been outside since 2013. Where you been?
I've been outside too.
Okay, Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, George Floyd. We ain't been outside?
No, you're taking the opposite of what I said. That young people now, our contemporaries, are saying we should not be outside because of aggressive crowd control techniques and tactics. We were outside then. I was outside there too. But now you have officers and other people who are targeting black folks. When have they not
been targeting us?
They've always targeted us, Jason.
Okay, you said now they're targeting us. When were they not targeting us? They've always targeted us. So it's not a now they're targeting us.
Okay, I'll give you that. That's a granular point.
Okay,
they always have.
Right.
But as I said in my other comment, that since the 1960s, and another comment I posted in the post LA Watts riots, a lot of people stopped doing it. They stopped protesting.
Okay, yeah, I think people can. I think people can see what's going on now at this point. I think people can see that.
What's going on,
here,
Jason?
so
what's going on, Jason?
What's going on here is okay. So, like I say here, yeah, folks. I mean, we got some low key Democrat old niggas shills. You know, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just saying, yeah, I guess folks don't think that I read comments. They don't think I monitor these things. When you start talking in circles and stuff like that, and it gets irrational and you read something, oh, wait a minute. Like I say, folks, look, there are a lot of folks that get queasy because they show up and they're looking for a way for us to turn this into a Democrat versus Republican thing when we focus on white supremacy, period. And if somebody tells you, why ain't we talking about Republicans? We don't have to talk about Republicans. But I do want you all to be aware there's folks out there that like I say, they show up in our spaces, and next thing you know, they trickle it in just a little bit. You being hard on them Democrats, you being hard on them old folks. Yeah, you have to just be a little bit vigilant about that. So I just want to let you all hear that since. Be a little bit vigilant about that, because that's what leads to backsliding. What leads to backsliding is when you're not vigilant about it, and everybody's sitting around, but then you just assume we're all on the same page about that, and then all of a sudden, I see a lot of anti-Democrat. Where's the anti-Republican though? Who's pro-Republican? I didn't say they're pro-Republican. You just complain that you don't hear any anti-Republican. Yeah, I think there's some other folks who just don't understand this. No, I think there's. Sir, I'll let you talk in circles for a while. Most people, okay, everyone who agrees that he was talking in circles after the first couple of minutes, just give me the thumbs up emoji in the chat room. But everyone who thinks that he was misunderstood and that if we would give him another 5 minutes, he could straighten it out because we have the misunderstanding, give me the red X emoji in the chat room. And I'll bring him back so that he can clarify some more, because according to him, he's not understood, or he just needs more time, and he's not talking in circles, and we just don't get it, and he's being misconstrued, and it's out of context. This dude, understanding doesn't take 30 minutes. Understanding takes 1 minute. And we got it. We get it. We read the words. We heard it. I'm not going to block you. I'm not going to ban you. But what I am going to say is, by the way, I noticed what it was. I noticed it. I saw what it was from the beginning. So some folks kind of get queasy sometimes. By the way, Mr. Love, this is what agreement looks like. Not because I'm the host. Folks can disagree with me all the time. Okay, D Major is bisexual. What? In any case, it's just, that's what it is. Everybody got it. We don't have a special place in our heart for Democrats or Republicans, but yeah, the Democrats are the ones who play these games with us more often than not, because black folk up until now have been depending on Democrats for everything. And that doesn't mean you change anything for Republicans either. We ain't got no love for either one of them. I have equal contempt for the both of them. But when somebody gets touchy because, why are we talking about Republicans? We don't have to. We don't have to be anti-Republican. Furthermore, I was discussing the Democrats at the time. Yeah, you're talking about the Democrats a whole lot. What about the Republicans? Why do you care? Some folks may be losing the plot. No, folks, look here. You can't hold out and wait for those folks to, for those folks here to find religion. It's the Democrats are not finding that. That's okay. The Republicans are already out there. By the way, I just did a whole program last night about J.D. Vance and the Republicans. The whole program about it. The entire program for several hours. But about the Democrats. And it's like, okay, all right. So, in any case, I want y'all to understand that when it comes to politics here, a lot of folk have been skating by for years or decades, and the black church became irrelevant because it doesn't speak to the people. And a lot of folks may be worried or scared about that, but I'm not. I'm really not. I'm not one of these people who believes, well, if something was very effective years ago and it becomes an institution years ago, we should just be holding on to it. I'm not one of those kind of people. I don't agree with the idea that we should just hold on to something forever. Things come and they may be effective for a time, but as soon as those things stop being effective, we have to do something about that. You don't just sit there and keep supporting it because somebody remembered that it, quote unquote, it was always there. That's the issue. So you have to be ready to let some things fall down. You have to be ready to let some things fall down. You have to be ready to let some things fall down to show folks that you are serious. See, here's the thing. I'm all for us playing ball. I got no problem with that. We ready to play ball. That's not the issue. The issue is your so-called black politicians have made an active effort to avoid us. Let me go ahead and remind you all a case in point. Jamal Bowman. What? Damn. Oh, man. Am I going there with it? You damn right. You damn right. Now, you see, Jamal Bowman can cry and boo-hoo and sing the blues and try to convince you he's a man of the people and this, that, and the other, and AIPAC this and AIPAC that. But I need you all to understand something right here. When it comes on the level of an ongoing discussion about national politics, do you notice that all of a sudden they don't show up? Now, they talk much trash about us in their emails. They talk much trash about us in their group get-togethers. They talk a whole bunch of trash about us, but you see, when it comes to working with us, all of a sudden they don't show up anywhere. Now, what is it about us that they would rather take their chances against AIPAC than to actually speak to the soil? Have y'all noticed that? I don't want you all to fall for the game of the so-called outsider. See, that's an issue for me. That's an issue for me because understand something. What these people try to do is they try to morph just a little bit. They try to morph just a little bit to see if they can get around your intellectual defenses. So they try to morph just a little bit. Just a little. And from there, then they like, okay, let's see if we can rejigger the argument some to get you all back on board. But you see, when you're in our condition and circumstance, under our circumstance, we're not going for a little bit of a movement. And I want to say something here tonight. I do want to say this. You see, there's a number of black politicians or would-be black politicians. And they've shown up on CNN. They've even shown up with rolling the bowling ball. What? But I need those folk to understand something. And maybe they're actually done in politics. I can understand it. Maybe they're actually done with that. But I also want to make one more thing clear. Maybe part of the issue is they haven't talked to the soil. See, here's where the problem comes in. The problem comes in that folks want to go through the Democrat Party and use it like a record label. You're a would-be politician. You want to be a, quote, independent, but now you're trying to get on with a record label. You want the Democrats to finance what you're doing. And by definition, doing that means that you are going to do their bidding and not the bidding of the soil. And that's really the situation that we have. So you see, they could get our support more if they were actually interacting with us, but they've made a deliberate decision, a conscious decision not to interact with us. See, here's the issue right here. The issue is they'll go talk to these other folk behind the scenes. They stay in contact with them. They'll sit up here and go talk to Pastor Cornbread and Preacher Pork Chop. They go talk to him, but they ain't ringing my phone. They're not hitting up the email. They're not doing any of that. I've been to Albany. I've been to D.C. They are conspicuously absent. Now they're complaining in their emails to each other about the Black Channel and the new black media. Now they're complaining in the WikiLeaks about the Black Channel and the new black media. They're complaining on the presidential campaign trail and complaining in Sacramento, California, at the state capitol, because of the new black media. But what they're doing, they're complaining, but they ain't coming to the source. So it seems to me you're trying to circumvent it. Oh, you're very well aware of us, and we're worth your mentioning about trying to stop us. It's like, wait a minute, that's not an option for you. So what is your real goal? What is your actual goal? Now, I want to tell you all something here tonight. Brothers and sisters from around the world, do you know, I already know what I would have to do. I'm not clueless. I know what I would have to do. People, if you got up tomorrow morning and the Black Channel was singing the praises of the Democrats,
nigga, please.
If the Black Channel was talking about how great Biden is and how Kamala Harris had a shot, and if we were pulling the top party line, man, don't you know they would beat a path over here. See, if I would go ahead and switch up the game, don't you understand? All of them would show up over here. Take a look at Rolling the Bowling Ball. It worked for him. Y'all know it. That's what they're waiting on. They're waiting on that to happen. They're waiting for us to sell out. They're waiting for us to show that we trying to get a record deal. We trying to get on. That's what they're waiting for. If I did that, the Democrats would be right over here. Oh, Simone Sanders would be like, I always thought you were a misogynist ass, but lately I see you soften up. So that's the game. So I'm not stupid or silly. I understand that. I understand that if I started switching up the style and started carrying the banner, if I became a stand-up guy and a reliable guy, if I did the Charlemagne thing, and if I became a party voice, don't y'all know they would plug in? Don't y'all know they would plug in? Because let me tell you one thing. I can defend the Democrat. If I had to be a spokesperson for the Democrats, I can defend their points better than any politician, YouTuber, activist, or anybody else they got. The rest of these folks are pathetic. Roland Martin isn't a joke. He's just a clown. If I had the reins, don't you all know I would actually put swag on it. It would be street level, but the problem is it would require me to deceive the people. Because ultimately I would have to convince the people that this is in their best interest, and it's not. I would have to deceive the people that, the Democrats are doing the best they can. We got a bunch of old niggas who sat there for the entire 9 years of Barack Obama's presidency. Jason, nine years of his presidency. Jason, I don't think you got that mad. The 9 years when he was running for office, they said, Obama he gonna get in office. He gonna do some things. Now, I will admit that when he was running in 2007, he was certainly speaking just like me. So he knew what was necessary. Even then, they know what they need to say to get our support. They know what the real damn issues are. 2007, that's what he was doing. Jeremiah Wright was the pastor. All the pieces were in place. That's how you had record black turnout, because you finally had somebody talking to the black street. He gets elected in 2008, and all the old niggas flipped the switch and started doing what they do. And then it became, don't worry, Obama gonna do something for us next year. And then the next year came and went. He gonna do something the year after that. And the next year came and went. Well, he got to get reelected. What the hell? Now, for most of us, we jumped off the train halfway through his first term. We were like, okay, dude, we gave you your shot. We gave you your chance. You're not going to get a second one. But the old niggas, because him showing up at their church, y'all got to understand everything is entertainment. There's a reason why I don't identify what I do as a show, nigga.
And deal with it, nigga.
There's a reason I don't do that. And when I correct somebody and they keep referring to it as a show, I'm like, okay, you can be hostile, passive, aggressive, and that doesn't bother me. Put on your lace thong. I mean, do what you do, but I mean, it's nothing new under the sun. Shave your legs and do what you do, but you see, it's not rattling anybody. It's all right. You see, D.L. Hughley has a show. Roland Martin has a show. Ricky Smiley has a show. There's dancing and giggling and entertaining and going for punchlines. And ultimately, it's not about being serious. It's about them making $1 for themselves. So you see here at a very serious place, our identity is anathema. Look it up. Our identity is in open conflict with the idea of being entertainment. This ain't entertainment, it's dead ass serious. It's life and death, and we're dead serious. So you see, in everything we say and everything we do, we remind you that we're on code. So you see, there's a reason why they couldn't come to me with a bag and say, well, Jason, if you would just play ball, we can get you on cable TV. We can get your show on cable TV, Jason, if you just play ball, man. If you stop being a damn renegade, stop going against the grain. We can get you on TV. We can get you on radio. People, Dr. John Henry Clark taught us this, man. They will give you anything you damn well want if they'll shut you up. That's why they hold those little token positions. That's how you get a Van Jones and a Candace Owens and an Officer Tatum. They hold those little positions just in case they got to break bread on somebody. You get a little too influential, and we got to make sure we got to get you in our camp so that you are not becoming a threat to what we're doing. So as soon as you get big enough, okay, we got to sign you to a deal. We got to sign you to a deal. Y'all don't believe me? Reverend Al played the game with them, signed him to a deal. Because that's what they do with you folks. You get big enough and then you get a show. Oh, you don't believe me? Do I need to go digging back through the crates right quick for the folks who are not old enough to remember? Well, fortunately, I am. This is institutional knowledge to remind people. Does anybody remember the Jesse Jackson Show?
Nigga, what?
Nigga, what?
Nigga, what?
Oh, if you remember the Jesse Jackson Show, give me the television emoji in the chat room. Oh, I see some of y'all are young and like, Jesse Jackson had a show? Yeah. After he ran for president, Jesse Jackson had a TV show. Now, for those of us who are old enough, we remember the Jesse Jackson Show. I see some of y'all are old enough. A bunch of y'all are not old enough. So just remember, this is why we have to continue recycling the information, because if you let these people lay low long enough, they will come back and reinvent themselves to a new generation that didn't witness them sell us out and betray us. And the new generation will just be assuming the person's legit if we don't remind them. Oh boy. Yeah, to anybody who's like, oh, you don't remember, or you were too young, take a look in the chat room. A bunch of them remember. You got Google. You got Google. So please keep that in mind, folks. You got Google. So, yeah, we talk about Al Sharpton, but, yeah, I have to remind you here, by the way, among other financial benefits, old Jesse Jackson, yeah. After he ran for president. I want somebody to prove me wrong. Tell me that I'm lying. Show me that I'm lying. If I'm lying, it should be very easy to disprove it. Jesse Jackson had a TV show, and I'm not talking about local access, people. I don't mean local access. Jesse Jackson had a nationally syndicated television show after he ran for president. So guess who was all of a sudden no longer interested in running for president anymore and cleared the way for William Jefferson Clinton? Damn! Go look at the chronology in the timeline, folks. Look at the timeline. Go match up the dates. When it's time for the 92 presidential election, all of a sudden, Jesse Jackson gets a television show. In the run-up to the 92 election, Jesse Jackson suddenly gets a television show. Now, if I wasn't sitting here to remind people, understand the corporate media and the cable television media would not say a word about this, because then you would be like, I'll be damned, connect the dots. No wonder some of these dudes from Jason's era are so damn cynical and negative about them. Yeah, because we watched this happen the whole damn time. There's just too many examples to mention. They've been buying these old niggas off. They've been buying them off. Jesse got a TV show. Al Sharpton got a TV show. Next thing you know, we ain't really banging on the beast no more like that. Oh, set up a nonprofit so we can go ahead and launder some money there so that Jesse Jackson can take care of all of his hoes and baby mamas. What? Oh, we already covered that on a previous broadcast. We already covered that, didn't we? We already covered that. Yeah, we already covered that when y'all, the bag was thick. The bag was thick. Understand that. The bag they was throwing around was thick. Now, what in the hell did Jesse Jackson do to be worthy of a television show? And yet somebody decided, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going back through the crates to remind you all of what the hell was really going on. So that when you just recognize, not to say that these folks got paid off, I'm not being hyperbolic. I am not being metaphorical. I'm talking about, hey, did you know this dude had a damn TV show? Jason, you mean like Bill Cosby? Or more like Montel Williams, more like that. But, oh yeah, while Bill Clinton was running for president, Jesse Jackson was busy hosting his TV show. So that kept him occupied until the party was able to move on. So you all know that was a backroom deal. Look here. If y'all want me to be quiet, y'all got to pass the bag. If you want me to get off y'all's ass, y'all got to pass the bag. And they did. So that's why I'm telling y'all I'm not thinking it. I know. Yeah, if I came out and started towing the party line, they would fall right for it. They would go right for it if I did. They'd be like, finally, he done woke up and smelled the coffee, and let's go ahead and see if we can get him mobbed up. And now that he's gotten his head straight, and all the folks who tried to act like they didn't really understand we exist, all of a sudden, here they come. No, I've never gotten the bag offer because the situation is too solid. Remember, in my case, I would constitute a high priority. I would constitute a high risk, very high risk, because they can go back all the way back through elementary school with me. It's like, oh, wait a minute, he's solid one way. Not really a whole lot of wavering, not really a bunch they can use. So you see, I got decades of a consistent track record. So that would be very frightening to them. It's like, wait a minute. See, Candace Owens was on the coon train from the beginning, but she's only started making a minor turn now. She was a known property. She was a known commodity. So they knew what they were investing in. Same thing with Mark Lamont Hill. Same thing with Van Jones. Same thing with Simone Sanders. So they knew what they were getting. No, they ain't really got a bag big enough to get me to do that right there. The problem is the bag wouldn't be good enough. They couldn't just bring me a couple of $1 million and be like, okay, bye. Nah, dude, that bag would have to be a whole lot bigger than that. We're talking Bill Gates money. Because I'm going to make sure they're not going to keep me around for very long. Y'all know how that goes. They wouldn't keep you around for very long. If they get access, they want to try to Epstein you. If they get access, they want to try to Epstein you. So they'd be like, okay, give him a good 1 or 2 years. But they would try to do it like Trump. They want you to do a bunch of cooning out. They want you to say all the Democrat lines so that if you ever did try to cross back over from where you came from, no one would believe you and they wouldn't take you seriously. So your reputation would be shredded. So that would be what they would be wanting you to do. They would want you to destroy your reputation, destroy your ability to be trusted, and then they leave you on the roadside for pickup. So if I'm not going to do that, they're just scared otherwise. I need y'all to understand the thing that worries them is not that we would have a national effect. The thing that worries them is you can move the needle 1 or 2 points. The previous election definitely showed them that it was a game of inches. It was a game of inches, and the battlefield was on the internet, not cable television. Cable TV was not the battlefield. The internet was. These folks don't have the ability to go door to door and talk to people point by point. We do. We do. And what they're frightened about is, damn it, you all are exposing the fact that we're really playing the game. Need I remind you all, if you're worried about, quote unquote, the Voting Rights Act, well, Jason, what'll happen if the Republicans got the majority of things? People, I just did a program here a few weeks ago to let you know, by the way, you do know that the Democrats voted majority in the House and unanimously in the Senate to honor Charlie KKK Kirk. What? Need I remind you? That's the Democrats with all the political machinery in place. And it was the Democrats in 2025, not 1965, not 1925, 2025, the Democrats joined majority of the Democrats in the House and all the Democrats in the Senate, including the half black one. Oh, yeah, they were all unanimously supporting Charlie Kirk. And then they gonna try to slither their asses back over here to you and me and tell you and me the benefits of us supporting them when they will not even stand by us symbolically. I don't worry about what they say. I worry about what they do. Raphael Warnock, y'all can talk about Charlie Kirk all you want to when it was time to vote. Did you vote vote to support Charlie Kirk, or did you vote to condemn his ass? Well, we all know what you did. So when they try to play this game, I'm like, are y'all keeping score? Because I damn sure am. I'm keeping score. And if you're actually keeping score, tell me what you're voting for. Because they, as far as I see, they're just a bunch of Republicans too. There isn't any substantive significant difference between the two of them. On the issues that really matter, they both vote the same way. That's why I told y'all last night about out there in California. People, on the issues that really matter, they all vote the same way. You cannot show me where they're actually doing anything different on the issues that matter. Donald Trump got into office here, and his first order of business was bringing over a bunch of white South Africans and talking about they are victims of a white genocide, all 20 of them. You have not had a Democrat anywhere in a position of leadership who has centered the national conversation to say it is way past time for us to discuss tangible resources and benefits to the descendants of the American slaves, because you cannot erase America's original sin until you have rectified the issue with the descendants of the American slaves, period. And they have fought tooth and nail to make sure that you have not centered the conversation. They won't even symbolically talk about it. They will talk about LGBT and illegal aliens. And at that point right there, I'm like, you know what? Let the dogs have them. Now, how the hell is it that they can stand up for all these other folks and be spokespersons for them? Trump is rounding up illegal aliens left, right, and center. The Democrats are loud and proud about that. For our issue of tangible resources, the Democrats are quiet as hell. You notice how they talk about so-called wasteful government spending. They always talk about that garbage. But do you notice there's never any wasteful government spending where we're concerned? You notice when it comes to us, when it comes to the foundation, when it comes to the freedmen, there's never any government waste over here. We're never a line item. No one's ever able to sneak in that multi-billion-dollar line item for us. Ain't that funny? Now they can slip in line items for single individuals, single companies, Apple, Elon Musk. But when it comes to us, all of a sudden can't nobody slip nothing in. Now, isn't that amazing how that happens all the time? Even when Democrats had the White House, remember, Joe Biden got in, they had the White House, they had the House, they had the Senate, and turned right around and told black folk, thanks for voting for us. You're the backbone of the party. We can't do nothing for you, Jack. Kick rocks. We got Latinos and gays to take care of. We can't really do nothing for you niggas who put us over the top in Fulton County and in Detroit. Can't do nothing for you. But the folks who are on the fence supporting Trump, we can do something for them. Isn't it amazing how no matter what the numbers are in the government, they just can never seem to get anything for us and will not even articulate our issues. Trump ain't just articulating white supremacy's issues. He's just saying, damn everybody, we just doing it like this over here. And then they come slithering back to us. So you see, the reason why they wouldn't trust me is because if they open the microphone to me and they sitting there, I'm going to hammer on this point for 30 damn minutes. Why should I vote for you? Don't tell me about the problems. Do you got the solution to it? And if you don't have a solution, why the hell should I vote for you? Jason, what's the solution? I don't give a damn. how you get that line item in there. I don't give a damn how you get this through the House or the Senate. I don't give a damn if Kamala Harris got to twerk them flabby old senior citizen butt cheeks all over Washington, D.C. to get this damn thing done. If you're not going to close the deal for me, there's no real reason for me to vote for you. So I don't care how you get it done. I just care that you get it done. You get that line item in there. You get this through the House and the Senate, just like you do for everybody else. Come spread some of that wasteful government spending over here to the folks that you are long overdue to. And then we'll show you how to get an economy to crack off. There's the difference. See, that's the conversation we're going to have. You give me 30 minutes talking to them. Oh, no. I don't have 5 questions. I don't have 5 topics to discuss with you. I just got one. And we're going to find out very quickly whether or not you're worth voting for. People, I need you to understand the power of words in this regard. That's why they limit who they talk to. Folks, all it takes is one sound bite to crash your political career and to ruin you in the eyes of the people for good. You expect me to do something just for black people? No. And that infamous sentence haunted her and dogged her until Donald Trump walked back into the White House. The problem was that when she had a chance to come back out and address it, did she do something smart? Hell no. She just started explaining and throwing excuses and talking in circles. Sound familiar? But she didn't try to say, you know what, here's what we gonna do. Now, see, that's where the heifer messed up at. She thought we were like the civil rights generation, that if she just shows up somewhere, that's good enough. The places she was showing up with people who've already been discredited. Ain't that right, D.L. Hughley? Take your ass back to mothballs. See, if the woman were smart, what she would have done was come talk to the soil. She would have come talk to us, and she would have said, okay, here's what we gonna do. Now, that would have been intelligent. That would have given her something to bargain with in exchange for a vote. As it stands, she's doing like Gavin Newsom. You didn't offer anything. She didn't offer anything at all. She just sat still and said, y'all know Trump will get back in the White House. Okay, and he's no better than you. We've been waiting for you to explain to us how you're better. And we need specifics because, we got to make sure that nobody's going to sit up here and bring us the trick bag language. So you going to have to tell us what part of the same page we're on. And let me explain something to you all, people. The reason why we're talking now about these disagreements are a game. When these people go on television, when these people go on the internet and whatnot, y'all notice Donald Trump was straightforward with folks about what he was going to do. He was straightforward. You notice the so-called Democrats were never straightforward with us about a damn thing. Never straightforward about a damn thing. And I'm gonna go even further. People, do you understand that it is not about whether or not you can close the deal your first time around? I am not so stupid or naive as to believe that the first time you push for tangibles for us, that it's going to work. The first time that you push for the restoration of the Freedmen's Bank, that it's just going to glide through Congress and the Senate. I never said that would be the case. What I am saying is that imagine what will happen over the course of 5 or 6 years if our so-called representatives were relentless pushing for the restoration of the Freedmen's Bank and for tangibles to be distributed to the descendants. Imagine what would happen if they went at that hammer and tong for 4 or 5 years. The national conversation would begin to change. It would be every day you got up, it would be less and less of a so-called radical idea. It would be normalized in the consciousness. And by the time you get to year 3, 4, 5, or 6, you'll have enough people that you've gotten the message through to that they start saying, well, you know, if it gets y'all to stop complaining, okay, go ahead and get this out of the way so y'all can stop complaining about it. That's what they've done for everything else, for gays, for trans, to the point of pedophilia. That's what they've done for them. You see, these people aren't stupid. They're politicians. They know damn well your job is to keep beating the drum. Your job, you're elected to communicate the issue and to convince people. That's what you were elected for. Instead, they're using their opportunity to tell us, thanks for voting, we can't do nothing. It's your job to raise this as an issue. It's your job to raise this as a topic. Just like the Republicans are always talking about tax cuts, you're supposed to always be talking about tangibles. Always. And you're supposed to get in there and you bring the first bill, you bundle it with another, you make it a line item, you do everything by hook, by crook, like you do with all this other garbage. And you get it through, and even if it does get stopped somehow, you keep come back with reconciliation. That way you only need 51 votes in the Senate, or whatever. That's all you need to do, period. And even if it doesn't work, you keep hammering it. You keep hammering it. You keep pushing it. You keep promoting it. You keep reminding people that this is the issue that must be done. See, that's what happens when somebody is dealing in your interests. You know, like they do for Israel, like they do for LGBT, like they do for all this other stuff here. They have no problem doing that for everybody else. We show up and all of a sudden, ooh, it's kind of touchy there, man. It's, oh, damn, man, don't know if we can do nothing with that right there, bros. You know, it's just, it's kind of controversial there, man. It's just, it'll split the vote. And I'm like, split the damn vote with whom? Who the hell is it splitting the vote with? Who the hell are you more scared of than us? Who is it splitting the vote with? And that's why in 2024 we said, you know what, if it's that damn controversial, then go get your extra votes from whoever it is that you're trying to protect. That didn't go very good now, did it? When they come to us, I need you all to understand that their so-called public disagreements are a damn game. The Democrats pretend that they're disagreeing with the Republicans, but when you actually count their votes, that's when you realize, oh, it's a game. And the game is to cloudy the issue and muddy the waters enough that supposedly to confuse you. And what ends up happening is you end up voting for people who literally are going against your interests and then vote back for them again. That's the thing I want y'all to understand. It's not by accident. It's never been an accident. They do their rah-rah, rabble-rousing in public, but when they get behind closed doors, the Democrats and Republicans get together voting against you. And what they are terrified of is that we've begun that as the national conversation. I just want to do a nice program to let you all know that what I've been telling you for years and years, when you see these politicians sniping at each other, brother, it ain't that serious to them, man. It's never been that serious to them. This is for your consumption and for your benefit and for your deception. It's not that serious for them. Never has been. The whole game and the whole goal is to confuse you and mess you up, but it's never been that for them. However, you might disagree. You just might. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and fire up the Zoom here for you. The link is pinned at the top of the chat room. This is a housekeeping program tonight because it is necessary for me to show you all that, by the way, it's a game. It's theater. It's theater. They pretend like they stomping for your issues, and they don't even really do that for us. But when they get behind closed doors, it's all handshakes, and we going to the golf course. We're going to the softball game. Well, yeah, because they both agreed that they're going to sell you out so they can keep the peace. Helping you is a deal breaker. So they both agreed that you are going to be the one who takes it on the chin so they can keep the peace. And then they go back out in public and start sniping at each other again. And then they're off to the cocktail lounge or Epstein Island or Mar-a-Lago, wherever they hang out at, to do all kinds of illegal things. But if you disagree, the link is pinned at the top of the chat room there. You are more than welcome to give us a call. So that would be important here as well. I want to thank everyone and everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out here to my man, Mr. Richburg. Thank you very much for your support tonight, brother. We appreciate that. To Keenan, to Andrew L. Thank you very much for your support tonight here. We appreciate that. Also here to my man, Tom Slick. To Brother Fuquan. Fear the Nun. Immigrant B1, Logic Before Emotion, giving out memberships. Black to Deaf, giving out memberships. Thank you all very much. It's the gift that keeps on giving. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, we'll see about taking some of your calls and more. This is the Black Channel.
Be the teacher, knowledge on the block. Got the kids learning, minds open like a lock. Books and skills from the east to the west. Bringing education, yeah, we're simply the best. Classes on fire, brains burning with desire. Innovation driving like a tire through the mire. Math, science, history, we got the whole range. Kids hitting new heights, teachers making a change. Used to be the teacher, stacking up the grades. Future bright, shining, no need for no shades. Got the youth thriving, moving up the ladder. Smart and sharp, brains growing fatter. Lessons so lit, yeah, they stay in a blaze. Every mind sharp like a sword in the haze. Mr. B in the house breaking knowledge chains. Education kingpin, we ripping the gains. Mr. B the teacher.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slavery and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening, and the lines to the Zoom are now open. The lines to the Zoom are now open, and we're talking tonight's program about this political game here. The Republicans have given us an opportunity to talk about that, for me to remind you yet again what it is that they're really about, what it is that they really do, so that folks out there are not deceived or confused. I'll play it for you all one more time for those of you who joined us late, just to show you that when the politicians are sniping at each other, man, you think it's rough and tumble. You think it's mortal insults. Y'all believe all that. You all don't understand. They don't take it nearly as seriously as you all do.
enjoy his company. I was one of
Made about you. This was a post on Friday night. Let me read you, get your reaction on the other side. He said, quote, "Whatever happened to Senator Rand Paul? He was never great, but he went really bad. I got him elected twice in the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, but he just never votes positively for the Republican Party. He's a nasty little guy." Why do you think President Trump is targeting you, Senator?
I think the problem is this, is that in Washington, what I represent, some people describe as unusual, and the president describes it as weird that I'm for less debt and balanced budgets. But, you know, when I come home to Kentucky or when I travel the United States, people come up to me and say, stick to your guns. You're the only voice up there, Republican or Democrat, who's still talking about the debt and still talking about balanced budgets. But I don't take it too seriously. Look, I've known the president for over a decade. I've played golf with him many times. For a decade, I've played golf with him many times. I've played golf with him many times. I enjoy his company. I was one of his biggest defenders on impeachment and would do so again. I think he's one of the best presidents, if not the best presidents of my lifetime. But it doesn't mean I will sit quietly and just say, oh, well, whatever you want to do. I was elected to have a voice, and so I continue to be a voice, like on the bombing of the Venezuelan boats. I think that's inappropriate. War with Venezuela without Congress's opinion or Congress is weighing in and authorization is inappropriate. The tariffs are bad for the economy. But it doesn't mean I dislike Donald Trump. So he gets mad at me sometimes, but I'm still one of his best supporters if he's willing to have it.
All right.
Yeah, so that's what they've been doing there, man.
Made about you.
You heard that. Trump just straight clowned him and everything. And he's like, I don't take it too seriously. I've known him for years. We play golf all the time. It's not that serious. Not that serious. And I just wanted to give you all a real world concrete example. Trump was insulting you and calling you a little man and saying you're the worst and you were never great. And we're going to go play golf this weekend. And I'm like, really? And they'll have you all, worked up into a lather. And then Chuck Schumer and Cory Booker will be going to hang out in Mar-a-Lago over the weekend. So, yeah, you get that. All right, let's go ahead and jump over here on Zoom. We got a few folks piling up over here on Zoom right now. So let me go ahead and see and get Brother Elijah. We got you up here on Zoom. What's on your mind, Brother Elijah?
Hey, good evening, Big Brother Jason. How you doing? Good evening, family. Excellent broadcast, all right? I'm going to get down to the Reader's Digest. A wise man once said, when I'm listening to tonight's program, the two worst white men on the planet is the American and the German man. I want to give a correction to that. It's really just still the American man. He's the worst, he's the most hypocritical, he's the biggest liar, and everything like that. And this is precisely why I have no reason to listen to them babble on anything. I made the rule a long time ago. If they're not discussing reparations, I don't want to hear a damn thing them folks got to say, because it's all a lie and everything like that. Because we know it's for show.
Well, here's my point about tonight, because I want you all to think about it in these terms.
Yes, sir.
Have you all considered that they've already decided what they're gonna do before they show up on TV, before they come to Capitol Hill, before they make a vote?
Nigga, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want you all to understand, when you think about it in those terms, everything makes a lot more sense. They've already decided what they're going to do. Then, Jason, what's all this back and forth and talking and stuff for? They're trying to figure out how to sell you on it.
Yes, sir.
They've already decided what they want to do. They're just trying to figure out, how do I sell you on it?
Yes, sir. Big brother, but that's the thing now. And then even when talking about let's talk about that devil J Devil Vance yesterday, who likes to defend the Nazis. Now I do have a legitimate question. Who the hell the Republicans are going to send out there? Because my question is, we're saying on one end the Democrats don't got anybody now, the Republicans, because they know Gavin Newsom. Let's be very honest, he's very radioactive right now. Okay, he played games last year with the reparations. Then he's playing games all over again. All right, and let's never forget, you did the program on this some months ago. He did an interview with Charlie Kirk, and he gave Charlie Kirk a little commemoration and everything like that. Who are the Democrats? Who are these people going to send out there? That's the real question.
The game that is going on right now, and I've been saying this since before the 2024 election, the game that they're playing is both parties are playing a game of saying, we're not going to do anything, especially for black folk, and our goal is to simply try to prove to the most people that we are the least reprehensible of the options.
Yes, sir.
None of them are trying to do anything good. None of them are offering anything productive. None of them are offering anything constructive. The only thing they're trying to sell you on is, look, I am not as awful as the alternative. That's it. That's it. Gavin Newsom is not offering anything positive. He isn't even trying. He's just hoping that Trump becomes so unacceptable, so absolutely condemnable that we've gone beyond the lesser of the two evils. We've just gone now to the worthless and the worthless less.
Yes, sir.
That's exactly where you're just choosing between evil and wicked.
Right.
But that's all they're trying to do. And the other thing is they're just trying to convince you of it. It's got little to nothing to do with what's actually going on. So that's what both sides are trying to triangulate right now.
Yes,
Vote for me. The other guy is, I am damnation, but the other guy is really, really damnation. And that's it. That's it.
Yes, sir. No, big brother, look, I'm going to land my plane here. Look, thank you for tonight's broadcast and everything like that. And be one to you and the family. And let's keep up with our agenda. No tangibles, no reparations, no tangibles, no vote, no kidding. Be one to you and the family.
Thank you for giving us a call tonight. D Major, I don't know, brother. I don't know about that, man. I'm not really sure how you define that. See, there's where we get in trouble. We get in trouble when we start forgetting, hey, that's a game. Trump is no different from the others. That's where they got you in the trick bag, is when you start telling yourself, oh, he's not like, but he's really, really bad. They voted for the same wars. They voted for the same police actions. They're not really doing anything about that. So you get in trouble when you start saying things like, well, but Trump is really, really bad. Well, you know what I mean? But he wasn't really. You get in trouble, and that's what I'm saying, folks. Earlier tonight, the whole reason I made folk call up is, hey, I know sometimes y'all start getting a little bit wobbly. You get on social media. I know what happens. You all are on YouTube. You're watching a bunch of stuff. See, here's the thing. I want you all to start challenging yourselves to do something. What I'm going to say next year is going to sound a little bit icky. I understand it. It's going to sound a little bit icky, and I get it, but I'm telling you all right now, you need to challenge yourselves to do something. If you're going to go calling yourself watching a Candace Owens or a Young Turks or whoever else is out there, I need you all to remember what Brother Neely Fuller taught you. Because when you all start doing that, that's like interracial sex. Pause. What? Damn. What? Y'all are hopping in the bed with these YouTube shows. Y'all are hopping in the bed with these podcasts. You're telling yourselves you're just being entertained. I warned you about that entertain word. Entertainment you don't even understand what that word means, people. Entertainment does not mean disposable. Entertain means to occupy, to have in your presence, to hold. That's why they call it programming. That doesn't mean it's thrown away. Programming sticks. It's called programming because it sticks. And you're telling yourself that you're watching this online programming, but I'm watching it, but I'm just being entertained. And then slowly but surely, I'm like, are you monitoring yourself to see, by the way, every once in a while you start making these little concessions. Ask yourselves, how is it that I'm able to watch these people and yet I come back and nothing changes? Brother Neely Fuller taught you. You hopping in the prop. He said the problem with interracial sexual access is that Negroes get into bed with other races and then hop out of the bed confused. But the folks who hopped in the bed with you are not getting out of the bed confused. You hop in the bed with a white female and you hop out thinking that you're a white male now. Damn. But that chick you hopped in the bed with, she did not get out of that bed thinking I've slept with a black man, now I'm a black female. She doesn't think that. She doesn't hop into bed with you and think that we're in a colorblind society and that she's a member of the black community. She's not confused. So you see, she can have that level of interaction with you. It can be sexual. It can be screaming and yelling and swinging from the chandeliers and toes curling and Achilles tendons giving out. And yet she hops out of the bed like, well, that was a great ride at Disneyland. And then she goes back to the dominant society on Fox News and tells them about how Charlie Kirk was right. So you see, I need you all to start developing that muscle that you can observe these things, but that you are an observer. You can observe Candace Owens and still keep your mind on straight, that you recognize what you're watching. You can tune in to Ben Shapiro, the Daily Wire, and not be like, well, see, here's the slippery slope y'all fall on. He had some good points.
Nigga, what?
See, there's where they catch the simple-minded and the aloof. They catch you there. They catch you there with, well, he had some good points. He is given straight Nazism. And you talking about, yeah, but the trains run on time. So a lot of you, that's why I'm warning you, you tune into their programs and you think black, but then you come out acting and voting white supremacists. And the slippery slope starts with he got some good points, people. If he's not backing our agenda, he ain't got no points. He doesn't have a point if he's not back. If he supports anything that is contrary to our agenda, he don't have a point. All that quote, he got a point is to get you to drop your guard. And that's the candy coating on the poison pill. That is the candy coating on the poison pill. Stop being gullible. If they're saying a single word that contradicts our agenda, they don't have any points at all. You dismiss all of it and say, oh yeah, that's that poison pill. He doesn't really mean the things. By the way, one more thing. He doesn't actually agree with you on anything. What? By the way, hey, silly, he doesn't actually agree with you on anything. Because there's not a single issue that you can say, well, he got a point about that he means it the way you do. Even the things that you all tell yourselves that you agree with Charlie Kirk on, there's not a single thing that you quote unquote agree with him on that he means it the same way you do. When he talked about abortion, he didn't mean stop abortion the same way you do. If he woke up tomorrow morning, he ain't waking up no more. Anyway, if his followers wake up tomorrow morning and all the white women stop having abortions, but black folk are having abortions all over the place still, they would not be saying we need to stop abortion. They would be saying, well, black folk need to do something about that, but they would not be saying we need to stop abortion. They would not say that. So it doesn't matter what issue that you might tell yourself he agrees with you on. He doesn't agree with you on anything. He doesn't mean any of those points of commonality that you think you have. He doesn't mean any of them the way you mean it. When it comes to guns, abortion, the border, the budget, he doesn't mean any of it the way you do. None. So that's why you can't support any of it. He doesn't mean any of it the way you do. So no, when you tune in, y'all have to start reminding yourselves. You are there for counter programming. He doesn't mean any of this the way you do. You are there for counter programming. You're not accepting any of it. Let me go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom right quick. Okay, I got Sadiq here on Zoom. At least I think I do. Sadiq, I'm not sure what's happening here. If it's OnlyFans or something, wherever you're at here, I'll give you half a second here to go ahead and make sure we can see you. If you're going to start twerking.
Can you see me, Jason?
Brother, why are you upside down? He's got an iPhone 0, y'all.
No, I got an iPhone 13, but the switch around camera doesn't work.
Okay, well, you keep your eyes on the road, dude. I don't want you to
By the way, you said my government name. This is Rock Love from Chicago.
All right, Rock Love, what's on your mind?
Yeah, hey, Jason, so I'm going to turn the camera around, and I'm going to pull over real quick. I want to just say something that I saw. It's interesting that you, first of all, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir, we hear you fine.
Okay, so it's interesting that you all these things that on this broadcast, and thank you for the broadcast, Jason. But a couple of things that you said, and one thing I wanted to get your opinion on. First of all, yes, we need to be independent, and I don't mean that in a political sense. We have to think about what is going to empower the descendants of slaves, freedmen, foundational Black Americans. We have to look at it from that way. And that being said, I really see the Democrats, especially, really trying to pull us in to this fight, this Smoke Kings, this anti-ICE, and all of that. And I saw something that was very concerning to me today. By the way, on one of the platforms that I watch, but I don't come out confused. I won't say his name, but I'll just say you refer to him as the Black Candace Owens. So you probably know what I'm talking about. I saw these excerpts about these No King protests, which I think were flops. However, there was he had Mayor Brandon Johnson up there, cooning and buffooning, and then I don't know if it was in Chicago, but there was some white gentleman that stepped up and said something very concerning. He said that when ICE comes into your neighborhoods, you should start shooting them. I thought that was very concerning, if you see where I'm going, because we're not out there. The YNs ain't out there. And when the camera angle was on this guy, there was a couple of young foundational Black American, real young guys looking sprinkled in there just for optics and looking very dumbfounded and confused, like, why am I even here? And to have this white gentleman come up there and say, when ICE comes in your neighborhood, you should start shooting them. What do you think about that, Jason?
We always have to be on the watch out for agent provocateurs. We have to be watch out for undercover FBI. Do not go along with anybody who suggests that you do anything illegal. Certainly not anything violent illegal. Because, like I say, I mean, they're looking for you to co-sign, looking for you to stand there, to be there. So we just have to understand that the agent provocateur is not a relic of the past. They're still doing it. They're still doing it today. So, like, you'll remember back during the George Floyd uprisings, Umbrella Man. You know, so it's everybody talked about there were FBI agents on January 6th. Like, okay, the FBI agents all the way around, but notice Tucker Carlson and the rest of them don't say, by the way, there were FBI agents during George Floyd. So white supremacists, of course, are liars. But the bottom line is, yeah, that these are situations where you have white folk pushing these agendas. And, you know, as Black people, we have to be very, very careful about that and make sure we distance ourselves from that.
Right. You reminded me of something. You had the first gentleman that you asked to call up from the chat that was talking a little off. And this is what I'm saying. He was talking about that we were out there with George Floyd. We were out there in the '60s. Why ain't we out there now? See, this type of rhetoric is concerning to me. It seems like there's some sly trick to try to really get us out there because we obviously are not out there as we should not be, in my humble opinion. Okay, I live here in Chicago. You got the women doing the Chicago Red. They're not saying, "Oh, we want to really be Republicans." It's really like a spit in the face of the leadership here and the people we put in office that are not doing anything about this migration thing and all the other issues.
Okay, brother, did you get arrested?
Jason?
Okay, he was there. I think he tried to pull over or something. I'm not sure what's going on.
Jason, I'm here.
Okay, well, look, as far as these No Kings things are concerned, these are basically Democrat protests. It's organized by the Democrats. This is the Democrat Party organizing this. And when you talk about Brandon Johnson is out there, Cory Booker is out there, these are basically Democrat rallies. And what they're doing is basically a pathetic version of what Trump did. When Trump lost the 2020 election, he basically kept campaigning. He just never stopped. He just kept campaigning until he got back to the White House. That's what the Democrats are sloppily attempting to do now. The problem with the No Kings protest is you can say no kings, but that goes for Democrats and Republicans. Brandon Johnson is standing up there talking about no kings. Okay, but that's still not a justification for us to support you. What should we do about the no kings thing? Brandon's only suggestion is going to be vote for him. Hey, Brandon, what do we do about Trump? Vote for me. That's what these are for.
Yeah, I'm going to end on this. Is thank you for that information. But my thing is, I really see this play that they're trying to do to get, these ICE. The people in Chicago, we love what ICE is doing because they're not messing with us. But they're really trying to get, maybe some of the YNs to act up. When this dude said, when they come in your neighborhoods, what do your neighborhoods? They're not coming in your neighborhood, Mr. White Man. They're coming in the black neighborhoods to get the illegal immigrants that Brandon Johnson and all the others under him put there. And so now you're saying, you should start shooting at them. They're not targeting us.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, these are really a non-issue for us because, black folk are not really rocking with this thing. We're not out there rocking with it. We're not promoting it. We sitting back in the cut. We told the Democrats what was going to happen if they did not stop their bull jive. We warned them what was going to occur. They wanted to sit up here and try to call our bluff. They found out, that's not going to work out the way you thought it was. So these No Kings things, we're not present. There isn't a black presence, and a lot of folk been talking about that. There's no black presence for these things. We're not available for that. So, no, we got our eyes on a whole different agenda. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Like I say, the Democrats, they had their chance to get us on the team back when they were running for office. They should have had this energy. Here's another thing. They should have had this energy in 2022 and 2023. When we let them know that we were unhappy with Biden then for that bull crap he was doing, that was the time for them to come to us and shore up our support. When they tried to act like, y'all niggas ain't serious, it's like, okay. So at this point right now, save your rallies, save your protests, save these political theater masquerading as a spontaneous protest. These are the Democrats doing it. The Democrats are trying to get everybody on their side. And, see, isn't Trump so terrible? No, you're both the same. Let me go ahead and see if we can get Richard up here on Zoom right quick. All right, Richard, what's on your mind?
I want to talk about economic infrastructure. Ultimately, whatever you gain from politics is to build your economic infrastructure. I'll give you an example. The white farmers that got all that money from USA, which none of our black farmers got. Okay, when Trump stopped USA, then they're crying foul. Oh, we're doing it. Now that was their DEI, that which we got none of. Now, this same group had gone to court to block the black farmers just getting a bone when the farm department had determined that, hey, we've Department of Agriculture had fraud through not giving them loans, had redlined them and everything like that. So just to get it equality. So what I'm saying is ultimately you're not going to get your tangibles from government anyway. You get your tangibles by forcing the government to invest in your economic infrastructure, which ours has been systematically beaten down. There's one other point I had. I was just studying some of the history on the situation. I always thought about that one generation out of slavery, how we were building the Black Wall Streets in after 1860s, and how the government turned their back on the slaves and ex-slaves in 1870. I didn't know that under the state laws that you could form your own state militias, and we had all black militias defending our communities and defending that economic infrastructure. And when the government when that was taken away, that's when all this stuff started. So what I'm saying is, one, you got to build your economic infrastructure and then have the authority and power to keep these folks from burning it down. And that's where you get your tangibles, because they use the government to get benefits for their economics, and which of which ours they've torn down. So I'm just saying the nuance may be that you may not get it directly from the government. You may get it from the government doing things in your community that bring economic benefits. Structure together.
All right, brother, thank you for giving us a call here. So he didn't have a question or anything. So they're calling up to say, okay, they want to have their own program for a minute. All right, let's jump back over here on Zoom again here. Let me see if I can get my man Tyler up here on Zoom. Let me get Tyler up here. All right, Tyler, what's on your mind?
Yes, sir. Master teacher. You called it again. You said that this is going to trigger that not the white civil war, but it's going to trigger civil war on that side. Heritage Americans, Jason, and white delineation. What do you say? Black American delineation. What you call it? It strengthens us, but it weakens white Americans. That's why they brought the immigrants over in the first place. So in trying to match our delineation movement, they are actually hurting themselves, in addition to everything else that's happening. So kudos to you, Jason. That's another great catch. Gavin Newsom, Jason, you can't get into the White House without the black vote. Kind of ironic, but not really. Gavin Newsom, he shot down the reparations agenda last week. So he's not getting in the White House. So sorry for that. Front line for white supremacy. Ohio unveils their first autonomous police vehicle, Jason. Have you heard about this? Have you seen this?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of folks out here who are going to waste a lot of money on AI and robotics, but your tax dollars at work. And the whole point of it, this is how the government launders money. I want y'all to understand that. This is how the government launders money to white companies and white corporations and things on stuff like this. This is how they launder it.
Man, Jason, somebody, I had to watch all the way through just to make sure it was the real race war. Somebody's got race war on YouTube. If you want, I could definitely email you the channel that's hosting it. It's a good quality. I love the movie. Had to watch it. Lastly, Jason, on reparations, I'm watching a lot of documentaries late night. I get cerebral, so I watch documentaries about like black holes. But there was one today on spherical geometry, protein folding, and every time I watch this, I'm just like, you're telling me reparations is harder to understand and implement than what? Modern communication electronics, modern rocket science, all these different things that we have going on. Every time they try to say that reparations it's just too hard, it's too complicated. I need y'all to understand the science it takes to get a person to the moon, to keep someone alive in space for more than a day. It's not that complicated. It's not too complicated. And if it is, we've done stuff twice as complicated. We've taken a picture of the atom. We've taken actual pictures of an atom, but we can't send a check to the people it belongs to. I'm not hearing it. I'm not having it. I appreciate you, brother Jason. I'll jump off with the next person on. B1, brother.
Slow down.
Yes, sir.
Very glad to hear that. You said there was a YouTube channel that was streaming Race War.
Very good quality. Yes, sir.
Very glad to hear that. Where's your copy?
I didn't get Race War, brother Jason. I did get 7 a.m. I saw Race War when you showed it near Beverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was there. I contributed. Made sure to be there front and center. Great presentation. Great movie. Great documentary. But I know how you feel about unauthorized showings. So I just watched it one time, Jason, to verify that it was actually a full race war, and it is. And if you like, I can email you that channel so you can make it do what it do.
That's fine. You can go ahead and email that to me now.
All right, the Black Authority at YouTube at yahoo.com. I can get that to you. You want to do it on air, Jason? You want me to do it off air?
I mean, you can do it as soon as you can. We'll be watching. Okay, folks. Jason, did you hear that right? Y'all know me. Come on now. Come on. This is Jason you're talking about. Of course I heard that. All right, let me go ahead and see if we can get Chili up here on Zoom. Chili, what's on your mind?
What's going on with you, JB?
All right, brother, what's on your mind?
No, old dude was funny though. I had reported that too when I had seen it. However, man, I'm glad you doing your broadcast, man. Because if it wasn't for you, I ain't gonna lie. Political science is boring. I
want to talk about that for just a few moments, brother. I'm gonna let you finish your points, so just hold that for a moment. I'm gonna get right back to you, y'all. I gotta remind you of this here. Years and years and years ago, y'all gotta understand. Like, there's two groups of folk who do that. They're just haters who are just like, damn it. I wish I could hurt Jason, but I can't because I'm 4'2" and I got a weed habit. What? And I can't do nothing. So it's just that's the best they can do. That's the best they can do. Then there's the other group. Oh man, these cats ain't never got their money together in life. And they use work like mine, and that's how they try to fool females into thinking that they're smarter than they are.
Nigga, what?
I'm being totally for real. I've seen this. I've seen this in comment sections. Y'all, it's one of the weirdest, craziest things out there, but I've seen this in comment sections. So believe it or not, that's a very real thing. Fellas, you got to get your weight up. You got to get your chips up with the females a different way. This is corny. And to the haters, it's, just, if you take some vitamins, see if you can do that instead. But don't be a hater your whole life. Not your whole life. You've already wasted half of it. Don't be a hater your whole damn life. You got more time in front of you. Go be a greeter at Walmart. All right, Chili, what's on your mind?
In them comments is crazy, man. People be trying to critique and do all that weird shit under the comments on the videos and stuff. However, man, like I was saying, political science is kind of boring, especially to like my generation. We don't get too deep into it. We kind of be brushing it off. I'm glad you're doing what you're doing because you keep me focused on what's actually going on with the political world. And when it comes to doing my research and doing my homework on how both of the parties be playing us left and they be playing us like we dumb, I'm glad you be giving us this information because, again, I like to say I'm a bastard child of Dr. Khalid Muhammad. I'm a bastard child of his teaching, and to the point where how we pushing what we pushing right now, these old dudes like Jesse Jackson, like, man, y'all got to get out the way, man. Watch out, man. Ain't nobody listening to y'all. Al Sharpton, ain't nobody listening to y'all. And it seemed like to all the new or the black political people who coming up, like the Dallas dude, the mayor of Dallas, you jump from one party to another, and you went from being a Crip to being a Blood, being a GD, you a Vice Lord now. Like, come on, man. Watch out, man. Ain't nobody trying to listen to y'all. Y'all's gonna sell us down the river, man. As soon as y'all get a little money, y'all gonna do what y'all been doing. And I'm glad you pushing this and you putting this in our face and letting us know what it is and what it ain't, man. Just keep doing what you're doing, huh? Because these people, they ain't gonna learn, man. They ain't gonna learn until we do what we gotta do and put our foot on their neck and on their back like they've been doing to us.
Well, I do this for you all because nobody was looking out for you. I mean, they were just looking out for themselves. They wanted to get what they could get. And what I'm saying is they passed the bill on to the children. They sat up here and soaked up all the benefits for themselves. They play these games. Okay, but y'all are getting stuck with the bill. You all are getting stuck with the bill. You're getting stuck with the short end of the stick. You're getting stuck with all the liabilities. They get to enjoy all the benefits and you get stuck with the cost of it. And then they want to sit up and ask why y'all wilding out and whatnot. And it's like, okay, you're not stupid. You're not that dumb. I'm talking about the folk who ask y'all that. They're not that stupid. They know they caused this mess. They know what they did. They know that they're responsible for it, which is why I've given you all the questions to ask them and all they start doing is stammering and stuttering. Let me tell you, brother, if that Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham that they had back in the day, if that was really a good investment, they'd be able to tell you why it was a good investment now. If something that somebody did was actually useful or constructive, they would be able to very quickly explain it to you and it would make sense to you because you would say, damn, if I were in your position, okay, I would do the same thing. Now that you've explained it like that, it would be very, very easy to understand, and yet none of y'all get that as the explanation. That's not what happens. It's a bunch of gobbledygook, and you don't see where it benefited anybody except them. Yeah, because that's all it did.
I wonder how much was that Cadillac back then? How much was them 4-bedroom houses back then that they sold us out for? They ain't built no infrastructures though. Nothing that we can attach ourselves to. I got to go to Amazon to try to get a job. I got to go to Tesla warehouse to try to get a job. General Motors to try to get a job. Where are General Motors at? Where are Amazon at? The Arabs, they got 7-Elevens. They own hotels all across the United States. Damn, I can't go apply to no black places. They got nothing like that.
Because your Congressional Black Caucus has been instrumental, I'm going to say it. They were instrumental in allowing people like the Patel family to come over here. What? I need to remind you all that when you're talking about these so-called hotel chains, Hilton, IHG, Marriott, please understand that the corporation itself only owns a small number of actual hotels. When it comes to Hilton only owns like 5 or 7% of the actual hotels that say Hilton, and it's only the biggest ones, their flagship properties, the resorts, but the really big expensive ones, that's all the Hilton, the corporation, actually owns. Everything else is franchised out. The Hampton Inns, the Hilton Garden Inns, the Homewood Suites, the Hiltons, those are all owned by franchisees. Those are all franchisees. The Hilton Corporation only owns about 5 to 7% of the Hilton properties, and those are really only the flagship ones. The very largest, very biggest, most expensive ones. That's what the company owns. All this other stuff, those are owned by franchisees. And the biggest one in America is the Patel family. I'm not breaking news today. They've been around for decades, but they let them folk come over here, and most of these hotels in America, not just Hilton, I'm just giving that to you as one example, but most of your hotels in America are owned by one family. One family has franchised out of damn me control. That's not accidental. That's white supremacy. Okay, but by the same token, how the hell do you have a bunch of immigrants come over here from Elon Musk to the Patels so we can keep going, and yet we can't get nothing popping on our own? How the hell is that possible? It's possible because your black politicians are in the pockets of the very folk they're telling you to vote for them so they can stop because it's no King's Day. And so they go, Brandon Johnson goes off and gets a closet full of shoes for his wife. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to talk about that? Okay. Y'all go look it up in the news about the remodeling that he's done for the mayor's quarters and for the first woman's quarters in Chicago. Y'all can go look at that for yourselves. I'm very well aware of that. If I had to stop every week to give you all the details, all the foolery I see all the time and read up on, you'd be like, damn, Jason, I know about that. Yes, folks, I know about that. And what happens is you all, brother, we should have had that. I'm not going to say necessarily we should have had General Motors because I'm saying it would have been a lot easier back then. Today, This is a multi-billion-dollar investment. It would have been a lot easier back then, where you've had our black politicians have been telling us, vote for me and we'll get you the United Negro College Fund scholarship. Meanwhile, Mark Zuckerberg can drop out of college because he's going to get venture capital when he gets to Harvard. So they're telling you go to Harvard to get your degree in psychology or sociology. And Mark Zuckerberg is going to college and doesn't even finish. And by the way, I need to remind you all, most of your Silicon Valley so-called tech entrepreneurs, they all dropped out of college. I put up a list of them. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Sam Altman, Mark Zuckerberg. Y'all realize they go there for a minute, get VC'd up, and that's it. They leave. You all be astounded that most of them left. Most of them got them left. Silicon Valley is a who's who of college dropouts. But while they're telling you something totally different. And what I'm saying is that, yeah, once they have access to the capital, that's it. I can make it pop off from here. While they're telling you, well, get an education and Jesus will provide. So, brother, I mean, we should have been had that. We should have been had that. And even if we didn't, you know, in these up there in Detroit, brother, do y'all realize how many old manufacturing facilities they got up there? Michael Moore has been documenting it now for decades. You got old AC Delco plants, old assembly line plants. But I've also told y'all one more thing. By the way, do you realize where they closed their plants? I'm sorry, I got to remind y'all. General Motors and Ford and them, they closed their plants in the black cities. Yeah, y'all hear about plants closing, but by the way, I showed you all. You can take a look at the damn map. Where General Motors still maintains its facilities today, the one up there in Tonawanda, up there in New York, that's white. Majority white. Leeds, Alabama, where Mercedes is, majority white.
I seen them.
Yeah, all these places where they're setting up shop, these are majority white places. What about the plants they had? Oh, that's where the black folk were. So everywhere black people were, they shut their plants down. But they're only keeping open or building new plants where the white folk are. That's not accidental, brother. That's not an accident. That's warfare. That is economic warfare so that you get strangled on and wither on the vine. That's what that's called, making you wither on the vine. We just economically strangle you. And then the only jobs you got is Five Guys, McDonald's. And there's nothing wrong for that. But what I'm saying is that you can't build an economy on that. You can't build an economy on that because you don't have ownership. And those kind of things would happen. There's no reason that it couldn't happen. And we wouldn't need all this stuff they got. They got a bunch of stuff wasted into it. We never would have gone off and done all that. We would have been running rings around them. But we are put in those positions. So, yeah, we should have been had that. Now, that brings us back to your point, though. The civil rights generation didn't push for it. Don't believe me? Y'all can go look it up on YouTube. Dr. Claude Anderson said what it was. He said in the 1960s, the American social order was in a position and telling us that they would have given us anything we wanted. We had turned up and turned out. The American social order was so desperate they were going to give us anything we wanted, and we told them we wanted integration. And I'm not saying that from an economic standpoint either. Black folk made integration, the civil rights generation made integration the issue, but that's because they wanted to have all of the goodies that their parents told them they had been denied. Their parents told them in the World War II generation, you couldn't cross the tracks over there where the white folks were. So what did their children of the civil rights generation want? I want to cross the tracks. I want to eat at the white restaurants. I want to go work at their plant. I don't need to own mine. That's not a status symbol. Being that y'all's black bar don't mean nothing. I want to get to the white ones. The food's trash. The barber don't know what the hell he's doing. The cars are broke down jalopies. I want to go over there. That was their priority. Deliberately. And of course, the crown jewel, where the white women at. So, brother, I'm just saying, how can I get you focused on owning a car plant when the priority is, but all the white women are working at the white car plant? Okay, but we can own a black one. Yeah, but it's just going to be niggas there. So where the white women working at? I mean, there's some white girls at the Ford plant. I mean, they're built like a Pinto in the first place there, you know. What? But I mean, okay. So that was what they prioritized until it ran out, which didn't take very long. And that's it. So that was what happened. But you are rightfully and justifiably indignant. This was a birthright and a legacy that could have been passed down to you. You could have built bigger and better of it. You would not have to be bowing and scraping. You wouldn't have people threatening your job because you own it. You know, so yeah, you are absolutely right. That's where it went off the rails. And it's not just the automotive sector, automotive, electronics, construction. We can go down the list. It's only when we get to the 80s and 90s and then it becomes, hell on earth. Now everybody's trying to scramble backwards. Okay, but you gave up a precious 20, 30 years that really was what we needed. At 1965 to 1995, you take a look at that. We went from the Civil Rights Bill to 3 strikes. 1965, 1995, Civil Rights to 3 strikes. With the old niggas sitting there clapping for the 3 strikes, by the way. The ones who didn't finish the damn game in 65, they had cocaine and white women in the 70s. By the time they get to the 90s, oh well, 3 strikes. Lock up the kids so that the kids won't be able to hold us accountable for what we didn't do and didn't build.
Yeah, they cut our throat before we even got started. But like I said, JB, I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, man. I'm glad you're the forefront of this and the whole new black media, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I do be feeling that, what's it called? Black fatigue, I guess, if that's the right word I'm using. I do be feeling that sometimes. I do be feeling like I'm going against a system that's way smarter, way stronger, but I know we 10 times smarter than that. I be feeling like I'm fighting a losing battle, but, I'll remain a soldier until the war is won, my brother.
Thank you very much for giving us a call now. We appreciate that. And like I say, I understand, I don't want y'all to be saturated in this stuff until you start becoming pessimistic about yourself. You become defeatist about yourself. You start seeing yourself as the problem. And, I wish I could be different, So I understand that. And I want you all to recognize when they're altering your brain patterns. Recognize that, because that's not accidental either. All right, let's see if we can get Pay Homage up here on Zoom right quick. Pay Homage, where are you at there?
Oh, yes, sir, brother.
All right, brother, what's on your mind?
Yes. Excellent broadcast, brother. Thank you for the work that you're doing. And I've always put in the years and years of countless, interviews of people that nobody wanted to interview, like, these white supremacists and things like that. I just wanted to, pretty much just put it out there that, you're exactly correct. I'm in the insurance industry and financial services, and even right now dealing with a lot of these, the big 5 that they call them, it's, interview after interview after interview after interview, and you're talking to the Gillespie, the Capriglianos, and all of these other people with these names. And even if you're qualified, like you said, it's like it's slim pickings for a job out here, especially in the industry where you can actually, get quite a bit of movement, with insurance. But, I wanted to say that electing blacks has really done nothing for, the state and the well-being of Black Americans. They pretty much are double agents. They look out for any and everybody else except for Black people. And so until we get, I guess some sense in our heads to say, hey, it's just the whole system is corrupt. We need to, come with some type of like a new Black code of conduct, like some new slave codes, but not so much as like to our detriment, but like something that we can rally around, some new talking points and action points that we can do out here. Because like you said, these baby boomers have put us in a position to where they have theirs, and they were able to get theirs when, the inflation was a lot, lower than what it is now. And so we've just been put in a position now to where, again, a lot of us are looking for answers by listening to you, on YouTube. Again, definitely go purchase 7 a.m., 8 a.m., Gentrified Race War. And, we're looking for some options. But like you said, it's really about that time for people to wake up, because again, we're continually being buried. And
we're in a situation. It would be different if America was a new country, in a lot of regards. And this is a lot of economic stuff to think about here, but I'm going to say this since I got you all here. It's a lot easier for Asians. They were a third world economy right up until the last 75 years. In China's case, up until the last 30 years. Do you realize how much of a leg up that actually is? You see, there weren't a bunch of institutional companies that they had to elbow out of the way. You see what I mean? Everybody's a startup. Everybody basically is on the ground level. So if your country is just getting off the ground right now, or in the last 60 years, like a Singapore, Indonesia, Vietnam. Well, I mean, after the Vietnam War, everybody was at the same level in Vietnam. Okay, so you and me are over here already struggling against institutions that are hundreds of years old and have put up walls and barriers against people. When things are just starting out, there aren't any walls and barriers up just yet. They're still trying to sort out who's going to be putting up the walls and barriers. So if you're from Japan, if you're from China, if you're from South Korea, you've had a whole lot more chances than we've had, on account of the fact that you didn't become industrialized until the last half a century. In America, we're up against institutional wealth that's been here for hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
And with no tools and whatnot, and the previous generation selling you out. And so you got nothing to work with. So I just wanted to put that in this context of what you're talking about there. South America, Mexico, you're actually on the ground floor thing. Those places are just taking off. They're just lifting up right now, with a bunch of, by the way, American companies putting investment into them. So the money's flowing in those places right now, and then people are on the ground floor. So they got a wave to come up on. Well, chattel slavery is hundreds of years old in America. We never had a wave. Don't got one now. And now that's who you're talking about when you talk about, getting into industries and whatnot. Well, these are mature industries. They've been mature now for decades, if not centuries. So yeah, that's what Dr. Claude Anderson was talking about when he said 90% of the wealth in America is locked down. 9% of the wealth is locked down. Yeah, it's already utilized. It's not in your hands. So you're basically fighting over 5 or 10% of the wealth because the majority of it is locked and boxed and frozen. When you talk about BlackRock, when you talk about Merrill Lynch, when you talk about Goldman Sachs, that's the wealth is in their hands, not yours. And you're trying to figure out some way to finagle it from them. So the federal government makes the money and then dumps it off in the banks. Ain't that right, Barack Obama, after the Great Recession? Yeah, they trillions of dollars and dumped it off in the banks. Didn't give it to us, dumped it off in the banks. And then the banks are going to tell you they pulled themselves about their bootstraps and they built all this to their damn selves. That's a lie. Banks don't make money. No, banks really don't make money. The government makes money because only a government can back the money. The government makes the money, dump it off the banks. And now you got to figure out you were never in that pipeline. You were never a middleman between the government and the banks. So now you're in a situation of trying to finagle and finesse somebody and convince them to shave you off a few dollars that came from the government, dropped in the banks. And now the banks are basically the gatekeepers who make sure you don't get anything. Or if you do get it, that it's not going to be a threat to the establishment. So that dovetails back to the previous caller. You can buy a car, you can start a car lot, you can't start a car company. You can have a car lot, you can't have a dealer franchise. So yeah, I mean, you're in the automotive business compared to them. No, you're not. No, you're not. You are not in the auto industry. No. That's what we're trying to correct now. You're not in the insurance industry. State Farm, Geico, Progressive. We're not on the board. Farmers, we're not on the board. And that's not accidental. So now you're going to have to sit up here and try to figure out how to get those people to loosen up their purse strings and flick a few coins off the table at you. That's the position we're in right now. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. And like I said, I won't put the specific company out there, but man, I'm telling you, I've been kicked around like a can from this person to this person, and offered a job. Okay, we're gonna give you, the $5K to sign, another 5 in 30 days, and then I get on the meetings and stuff, and he's black, so get him out of here, And like I said, it's just, it's encouraging again, like I said, for you to have these forums every weekend, my brother. Like I said, keep it going, keeping me inspired, and a lot of other brothers out there, man, and I appreciate everything that you do. Seriously.
Thank you for giving us a call tonight here. The auto companies are not just an oligopoly. They are a government. They're basically a government, private, public cooperative. It's a private public partnership. You can't get a car company going today. You can't do any of that. Lucid got most of its money from the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund. So Lucid is basically a government-private partnership, not just in Saudi Arabia, also out there. I think they're in Arizona. Is a public-private partnership. That's the automotive industry today. So if you can't get in league with the government, basically you don't really have a chance. Not to become one of the majors, you don't really just have a chance. And that's real. Let me go see if we can get Robert up here on Zoom right quick. Let me get Robert up here. All right, Robert, what's on your mind?
TBA, one of the greatest master teachers in the history of our lineage and our anchor man of the new black media. Hey, TBA, real quick, man. Great program as usual. And I don't mean to derail the broadcast, but I just wanted to show you, man. Look what I received in the mail, man. I finally, and I got to watch it, and it's just an absolute masterpiece. I just wanted to congratulate you personally on a job well done.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, fantastic movie, and that's all I got tonight, TBA.
All right, brother. Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
In the chat room there, by the way, I put up the link in the chat room here. If everybody would be so kind, whoever this channel is that has been illegally streaming that, I want y'all to go ahead and take a look at that for me, please. So for those of you listening, I would appreciate it if you all would report that channel. We appreciate that. The more folk who do that, the better. So go ahead and flag that channel for us, please. Thank you. Let me go ahead and see if we can get Don up here on Zoom right quick. Let me see if we can get Don up here on Zoom right quick. Don, you're slowing us down. Okay, Don must have got up from his computer to go kick it with that Taiwanese chick. What? Don, where you at? Okay, there you are. All right, Don, what's on your mind?
I don't know what you're talking about. I heard Taiwanese chick. I'm like, who are you talking about?
All right, she love you a long time. What's on your mind, Don?
No, man, we don't play that, man. If she ain't melanated, we don't play that. Hey, man, you know, the reality is this. Our people have been bamboozled and hoodwinked for so long. They don't know their right from their left. Where we are today, right now, we're in the end of days. I don't know if you saw that movie, but yeah, we everything is on schedule according to the one who created it all. Foundational, yes, sir. My ancestors built this, but my ancestors have a legacy that does not begin and end with black. And it is that identity that tells me the rest of the story. So, the reality is this. These cave folks, these descendants from the garden who are of the other seed, their story's coming to an end. Even as it's written in our righteous and holy words, they are the end of this age. Our people who know who they are the beginning that follow. See, the problem is our people right now, they have no idea who they are. Their history begins deporting them slave ships and accepting and given to them, not their heritage. But see, our Creator said that in this time we're living right now, He would bring us back to our heritage in the land of our captivity. Ooh, land of our captivity? You mean I'm not a native? This is the land of my captivity? Okay. Well, there's a couple key things in our scripts, and I'm going to land with this, and you might have any questions I'd love to field. When our father Abraham, who the Most High said, where your feet treads, I'm going to give you all this land to you and your descendants. When he made that deal, when he cut that contract, that covenant, what he also said was, know for a surety that your descendants are going to be enslaved for 400 years. And then when his servant Moshe was delivering the covenant, or reiterating to the covenant for the people that was going into the land, one of the conditions of a curse, if the covenant was broken, all these things would be for a sign. And so if the covenant was broken, one of the curses was that you were going to return to bondage similar to Egypt. Egypt is a similitude for the bondage. But here's the kink. We walked down into Egypt, but he said, I'm going to return you into bondage, heavy bondage, like Egypt. But I'm going to do it on ships. I'm going to put you niggas on ships. And I'm going to send you there. And there you're going to serve your enemy, our oppressor Esau, our brother from Jacob. And that's where we are today. We're watching their kingdom collapse. The Indo-Europeans, the descendants of the giants, the red hair to blonde haired, blue eyed to green eyed mutants of us. They are not superior. They are.
First of all, we must internalize the flatulation.
Don't even go there.
The
Don't even go. Get
by
that shit off here,
transmitting
Jason. Don't play with me like that.
Of the
You know I ain't to be played
Indonesian
with.
proximity in order to further
This is what niggas do when they
segregate
don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
of
I
my
can back
venereal
everything up
infection.
what I said. Yeah, there we go, Jason.
If I may retain my liquids here for one moment, I'd like to continue the redundance of my quote-unquote intestinal tract. See, because to preclude on the issue of world domination would only circumvent, circumcise the revelation that reflects the aphrodisiac symptoms which now perpetrates the Jericho's activation. So, do not misinterpret the chauvinistic.
Give to the United Negro Scholarship Fund, because a mind is a terrible thing to develop without help.
This is what niggas do when they don't have any information. They try to make it into a clown show.
The ramification
They try to make it into a clown
inflicted
show.
on the incision placed
You
within
can't fuck with me, Jason.
the
That's why you
fallopian
always try to
cavities
pull this bullshit.
serves to be holistic.
You ain't got enough weight, cuz.
Taken from the Latin word jalapeno.
You ain't got enough weight. You ain't got enough weight. That's why you put on that bullshit, because you can't address me as a man.
I can address you as a librarian.
No, you can't, because you don't know who the fuck you are, cuz.
I am the guy.
Black? You're
I am
black?
the guy
You're
who
black?
is
What is black?
hosting this
What is black?
program.
What is black? Where does black come?
I'm the guy hanging up on you.
Get off my phone!
Do you see why you got to watch out for these old niggas? They show up here and then they start babbling and yeah. All right, let's go and see if we can get Cole up here on Zoom right quick. Cole, hey, if you're not going to keep the audience awake, I got to keep them awake. All right, Cole, I don't see anything. I can give you 5 seconds to go ahead and get that resolved. Then we got to go ahead and move on, Cole. All right, Cole, I can give you 3 more seconds to get that resolved. Then we're going to have to go ahead and move on, Cole. I don't see anything.
I got you.
Okay, brother, I got turn the light on.
I'm sorry because I was laughing at that other dude, man, the plebiscite babbling dude, and I had my phone sitting down.
Yeah, it's just
what's up, brother?
Whatever they're smoking on out there, they got something new. Turn off your YouTube, sir.
All right, let me go turn off the TV. We'll do it quick. Hey, look, brother, check this out. Don't you know I just heard you talking? All right, the TV gone. It's gone. I rip out the wall. God damn it, this is my man, Jason. I'm going outside, Jason. Hey, look, I want to tell you something, brother. Can you hear me? Am I still on?
Okay, brother.
Sorry, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I heard you talking when I came back in the crib early, and I heard you talking to some dude about the factories and stuff, right? I want to say something to you to bring it to your attention because I think that you might recognize what's going on. Dude, where I live at, when we moved over here, they got rid of the factories. Like you said, because they didn't want black people to live there. I'm going to slow down so I don't sound crazy. But dude,
yeah, brother, because I'm about to say Trump blew up the Venezuelan drug boats and niggas is just out here smoking everything. But go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
All right. So look, I had to go away, do some time for 9 years. So everything changed. When I came back, I'm in a neighborhood, Southeast Chicago, all black neighborhood. I came back and ain't nothing but tethers and hippies and stuff. They was standing in front of my crib, literally looking at my tree, right? Come to find out what's going on. I'm just putting this in your ear and I'm gonna get out of here. They opening up a giant world's first quantum computer like 4 blocks from down my street. It's called PSI Quantum. Chicago State University is involved in it. My whole neighborhood being gentrified faster than I thought it could be, Jason. I'm gonna get out of here, brother.
Yeah, I mean, now, on a serious note, though, yes, I've spoken about this before. Right now, people, in case y'all didn't know, I mean, I talked about this before. I mean, right now, these data centers they're spending everywhere are right now, not in the future, right now, tonight as we talk, they are using up 25% of the nation's electricity.
Nigga, what?
Not in the future. I mean, right now, tonight, while you and I are talking, they've gotten Elon Musk, his real contribution to the world of entrepreneurship was his ability to build those factories. It used to be that would be like a 2-year or 3-year job. He got it down to get those things up and going in less than a year, less than 12 calendar months. So that was the real innovation of Tesla, is to be able to get these gargantuan factories up and going in less than 1 calendar year. They have now moved that type of building spec over into the world of, quote, data centers. They've moved that expertise over there to get these things up and going in 6 months. So you don't even have the opportunity to protest them in your neighborhood. They got the permits. By the time you realize, oh, they're already done. And so right now they are using 1/4 of the nation's electricity. They're on their way to basically in the economy right now. The only reason that Trump's economy hadn't crashed is because of the AI bubble right now. That's where right now they're talking about hundreds of billions. It's not hundreds of billions, it's trillions. It is trillions being poured into this thing left, right, and center everywhere. And that's the only reason that the American economy has not descended and cratered since Trump started all this nonsense. The investment in AI is holding that up, and they're just doing it anywhere and everywhere. It is tremendous.
It is.
And so right now, with the brother saying, y'all, and actually, there are a lot of you, particularly in black neighborhoods. That is the real hush, dirty part of the story. These, quote, data centers. Most of them are being put in black neighborhoods or near black neighborhoods, put near black folk. They are noisy. They're bright. They cause this hum that basically registers on the Richter scale. We won't even talk about hazardous materials.
That's what I'm worried about.
And so the ones that are not out in the deserts, they're putting them where black folk are. So the tried and true American tradition. You want to make a landfill, you want to make a freeway, the black folk will be the ones who take it on the chin.
Yeah,
so
man.
I very, very easily believe that. There's a lot of technological development going on. These public-private partnerships, in some ways they do it through corporations, other ways they do it through universities, which is what you're describing. So, yes, there's a lot of that going on right now. And yes, they are targeting where black folk are.
And I only want to say one last thing, Jason. I'm out of here. You are absolutely right, because by the time that I found out what was going on, they already had the groundbreaking ceremony.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm telling everybody, and don't nobody want to believe it, so I looked it up. Do you know this is the world's first quantum computer this big? It's bigger than my whole neighborhood, Jason.
Yeah, and they're going to bring in a bunch of chemicals. They have to bring in like nitrogen and things to keep those things cooled down. So it's a very large investment that they do. But yeah, by the way, folks, now your city leaders already knew this. They all got pull permits and things. And of course, the electricity grid, which they're going to pass on to you, by the way. So they're going to use more electricity. Your electric bill is going to go up for something you ain't even using. And they're not going to raise their electric bill. They're going to raise yours. And yeah, by the time you all find out what happened, by the time you all find out it's going on, it's already built. It's up and going. It's a very, very sneaky thing. I mean, they've learned how to put up, that's why they make the buildings out of steel and stuff. The last thing they do is put up for the walls and stuff. By the time you realize it's a problem, is now you're not protesting them building it. You have to protest them to shut it down now. That's what you would have to ask now, is tell them go shut it down, because you didn't know, so you couldn't stop them before it went up.
Thanks for being the only brother that really listened to me, because I keep saying this, but everybody just like...
No, I mean, it's not a conspiracy theory. You're not talking UFOs and aliens. And it goes, I mean, I don't want to get crazy. I don't want to start sounding like Don. What? But, I mean, it goes deeper than that, folks. I mean, I'm serious. I'm just going to touch on this very, very quickly and keep it moving. AI is serving three purposes. Number one, it is for the purposes of replacing human intellectual labor. If you can make that work, of course, it would destroy the economy. It makes folks it makes people a lot easier to control, by the way. Second of all, it is to bleed it into automation. So now you will have true smart robots. So that will finally be leapfrog, because technically speaking, robots can do a lot of what people do. It's about some of that dexterity and articulation. That's the part that's missing. But having machines that can talk to other machines the way people do. So that kind of efficiency. And then lastly, now this is what nobody wants to talk about, but lastly is AI in medicine. Specifically for the purposes of human engineering. They do not actually believe that people can figure out how to do human engineering. They don't actually believe people can do it. It's too complicated. There's too many moving parts. So what they're focusing on is, let's see if we can get a machine to do it instead. Let's see if we can get a machine much smarter than people. Let's see if we can get, because you have calculators. Calculators can calculate numbers faster than you can. Can we get a machine that can think faster and better than us, that would ask questions we never thought to ask, and can figure out these puzzles? They're already integrated into medicine. I already did it on my other YouTube channel. I talked about how they're doing that now to use AI to spot tumors. So there goes radiology. But also, most of your billionaires are scared to die.
Right.
Elon Musk does not want to die. Peter Thiel has been very nakedly admitted he doesn't want to die. Sam Altman, Jeff Bezos, they don't want to die.
And leave all that money.
Well, more like power and control, which money is just a side effect of. They don't want to die. So y'all heard folks talk about transhumanism and all that stuff. Well, this is a key part of it, because if they can figure out, they want to put AI, they're foot to the floor to do this, because if they can get AI to figure out how to crack the human genome to replicate it, how to crack telomeres, you all can look that up, how to crack, endless cell replication without it becoming cancerous, how to alter the human genome, cellular engineering. That's it.
They could make a new black people if they want. Slave race even.
Well, that's not what they would do. Do you understand, if you could extend a person's life by another 200 years, do you realize how valuable that would be? I didn't say eternal life. If I could extend your life by another 200 years, do you realize how valuable? Tell me how valuable that would be.
Become a trillionaire in that time.
No, we'd have to move on beyond trillion. That number's not big enough.
Yeah.
Trillion is not a big enough number. So if you could actually figure out, I mean, because for those of you who really want to get wonky about it, the Turritopsis dohrnii, is a type of sea creature that basically can turn its cells backwards in time, theoretically anyway, because it's not a real thing, it's theoretically. If you could do that with humans, They've always talked about how reptiles are able to, you can cut off a reptile's limb and they can regrow a whole limb, something that human beings can't do. Hell, we can barely regrow skin. If you could do those kinds of things for a person, how valuable would that be? Now, how valuable would it be to keep everybody else from having it? That's only for a select few. Because, brother, they don't want to have a Medicaid for that. Please, are you kidding? How much money would Peter Thiel give you for that? How much money would Jeff Bezos give you for that? For him and just him. The Russian oligarchs, the Saudis, all those Saudi Arabian princes and whatnot. How much would they pay you for that?
Well, how much does it cost to become a god? That's what that essentially would be.
You just said it. Gods. Yeah, we live for a few hundred years. We're not only do we got more money than y'all, we're going to outlive all of you. So we don't have to have heirs anymore. Or at least in the short term, I ain't got to have kids. I'm going to be right here. I'm going to outlive the rest of you. Now, if that were your goal, and if you thought, I can't figure out how to do this, but I think a machine can figure this out, how much money would you invest into that to see if that could actually be done? Brother, they're investing moonshot money into this. The money that was put into putting man on the moon, that's the money. That's the type of money they're investing right now. 21st century context. This is moonshot money. Damn, going to Mars. So I'm just letting you all know, if you want to know what the real motivation is, that's the real motivation. And for that reason, brother, they don't care how much it costs. They don't care how much it costs. They don't care how many neighborhoods they demolished. They don't give a damn about you being stuck left up at night from the humming and the lights. They don't give a damn how this inconveniences you. Damn you and your family. They are chasing eternal life. And they are determined to have it in their lifetime if it's all possible. And you are, I would say you're collateral damage, but that would be leading you to believe that you're actually a consideration in the first place.
Dang.
So imagine that you are so, as far as they're concerned, you're so insignificant, you're not even collateral damage. Just like, who? Cole who? Yes.
An ant on the sidewalk in my way, in my path.
I wish I could say you're an ant. You're more like just dust.
Damn.
You're just incidentally in the way, and it's not even something they think about. Their eye is on what they're doing, and everything else is incidental.
Hey, Jay.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I gave you all the short version of it, but yep, it's a real thing. All right, let me get over here on Zoom. I think I got Timmy over here on Zoom. Is this you, Timmy?
Yes, how you doing this evening?
Okay, hold your phone closer. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I said good evening.
Okay, I need you females not to be burying your cell phones between your breasts. What? All right, what's on your mind, Timmy?
Okay, all right, how are you doing? Yeah, there's two things. I know sometimes people like get on and babble, and they very long-winded. A lot of our brothers and sisters sometimes we take a long time to talk. The guy who spoke earlier about biblical truth, it was not like he was lying. I think a lot of time we don't know how to articulate ourselves and get straight to the point. I think you're a little too harsh on him, though. You could have been like, listen, hurry up and get off and get you straight to your point. But I
was too harsh on somebody.
I think you kind of mocked him a little bit, and so.
Who did I mock?
The guy, the one that was very long-winded. The one that was talking about the Bible. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. How long was I supposed to let that nigga rap alone? How long was I supposed to do that?
Oh no! You should have told him like within 2 minutes. Listen,
I ain't gotta tell a damn thing. Y'all been listening to me for years. If you don't quit, I don't know what the hell you've been smoking since you got back from the Middle East. But tonight, y'all is just, I don't know what happened. Trump blew up the drug boats. Niggas is smoking drywall, charcoal. I don't know what the hell all of y'all are hitting since the drug boats got blown up. But boy, I'll be glad when this cycle's on out. I'll be glad when they get the real cocaine back over here, because, this bootleg cocaine y'all all hitting up is putting me through fits tonight.
I know. I get it. Listen, people, try to be short, and then
niggas are smoking chicken flour from churches. What? and then calling me up. You being harsh, Jason. No, baby, that's that chicken flour from Bojangles. It's not me. Trust me, no, it's not me. It really is you.
I get it.
Baby, you got a bonnet on and you ain't even asleep just yet. I'll let that speak for your inebriation.
I was stretching. I was doing my night.
Every time you call me up, you doing that.
No, not the stretches. No.
Okay, well, at least she didn't give me a bird's eye view of the OnlyFans stuff tonight, y'all.
Damn! No. Well, this is a great program, and hopefully, everything that they plan to do, like, I get it. A lot of these people, they vote the way they vote because they think that it's going to undermine us, and it's kind of silly because you see all the welfare white people online crying right now. So, like, they set up their traps, and they going to fall into it, particularly with the poor whites. They the first to go. They just undermining themselves because honestly.
All right, thank you very much, Timmy. We appreciate that. I'm being harsh. All right, let me see if we can get iPhone 92 up here. All right, iPhone 92, what's on your mind?
How you doing, Jason? I actually wanted to have like two questions, two comments. First of all, I want to say like maybe probably changed my life, sir. To be quite honest with you. And then my second point is AI. I've worked for two AI companies. One's a major player, DC and Texas Lancaster, and the technology that they're implementing in these factories and workforces is pretty impressive. You got automated forklifts. You have fully automated conveyor belts and depalletizers. So I feel as though this is more so you need more skilled laborers because it's very, very short-staffed in these industries.
Well, I mean, it's a bubble, to be totally honest. A lot of people are making a lot of promises they can't possibly keep. It's been decades now since Amazon was talking about, drones dropping off your packages, and we're no closer to that today. It's a lot of investment being put into it. So, I mean, that's where the money is. However, I just want you all to be clear of what a lot of people think it's going to be a widespread use. And yes, there will be widespread uses for it, but they will be very specific. They'll be very niche. I just want you all to understand what's motivating these people to build these huge centers and stuff like that. It's not just about, we're going to build widgets cheaper, or we're going to get rid of customer service and have an AI chatbot. Some folks are going to be using it for that, but that's not what's pushing hundreds of billions of dollars of investment. What's pushing it is they're like, yeah, by the way, let me get this computer here to give me another 300 years to live. Like Weyland Yutani from the alien movie Prometheus. Think of it in those terms. That's what's pushing the investment. They don't think because remember, the more you automate things, the cheaper you make human labor. Think about this for a few moments, folks. We got illegals over here still. So automation is actually expensive. Yes. You go take a look at the cost of a tractor on a farm. That costs way more than all the workers do. Way more.
Yes.
So in reality, it's kind of an inverse relationship. It's kind of counterintuitive. But I want you to understand that part right there may lose its value because at a certain point in automation, you get diminishing returns. Because wages are wages, and if the machine costs more than wages or it costs more to obtain, it can become problematic. Remember, a lot of your grocery stores and stuff are taking out the self-serve checkout because it's not working like they thought it was. However, that other thing I told you about, that ain't never going to get old. So what if I'm saying is, what if they're telling you all this stuff about automation and replacing workers and workplace efficiency? What if that is really just the cover story for what they really want to do, and they don't want to talk about that because you all would really fight against? Wait a minute, you all want AI to make yourselves into gods? What about the rest of us? Well, we're the smart people, so we should live for another 200 or 300 years. You're all the dummies. So, I mean, really, when you think about it, yeah. And Elon Musk has already shown you that that's his ideology on Mars. Remember, he was the one who said, who's going to have the control on Mars? It won't be the civilian government. So Mars would have to be self-governing for a while.
A bunch of robots on the Mars.
No, he's talking about people. No, he's talking about people. What he means is who will be the government on Mars when you start colonizing Mars. He said, well, it wouldn't be the federal government wouldn't be there. Only the colonizers would be there. So who is an authority on Mars? And until the government has enough people that they can lord over things, and Elon made it very clear, no. It would have to be self-governing for an indeterminate amount of time. Whoever's colonizing it would have to make their own rules. Well, doesn't that sound like Elon Musk's ultimate dream? Now, give him another 300 years to live? Yikes. It all makes sense now, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Just to add a little bit more to AI, I just wanted to give making it aware that about the technology that's out there. We have cameras as of now that it can sense the difference between the grass and hard concrete. What they're doing now is just like 1% increase every time with automation, and I eventually see that where it's gonna replace certain industries, far as like driving or delivery. Eventually, it can eventually get there, but as of right now, it's not there.
I think those would be hard sells in a lot of regards. You'd have to take away a lot of people's rights to be able to make that work, to be totally honest, because cars don't think like people. And the only way that you can make a society of driverless cars is if all cars were moving at the same speed. So there's the problem with a driverless car society. That'll work, but only if all the cars are moving at the exact same speed. But without that, it wouldn't work. Now, don't get me wrong. You got some clowns out there who want to try to do that too, but definitely it's something to keep in mind. But it's bigger than just cars. It is way bigger than just cars. That's like a side dish.
I can't to disclose too much about the industry that I'm in because I did sign an NDA. But I will say that you're absolutely right. With the person I work for, he's pretty much switched over to not traffic as in it's out in the open. It's in a secluded area and it serves a certain purpose of going back and forth more so like an assembly line type of a thing. And you don't really have that many skilled laborers that know too much about mechatronics or robotics. So what they're doing is repurposing these people for watching the machines versus actually operating these machines.
I think like every other boom, they're grossly overstating how effective it will be. I think that the machines are going to be better calculators. Ultimately, their widespread use will be better calculators, replacing people on a wide scale. I don't predict that's what's going to happen, but being better calculators, I predict that will happen. And the only thing a calculator is good for is solving an equation. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. People, disease and age, dying is the ultimate disease. That's an equation to figure out. If you can figure out that equation, the basic building blocks of life and the primordial soup figured out cellular replication, photosynthesis, chemical synthesis. There's photosynthesis and chemosynthesis, for those of you who don't know. You know about making energy from the sun, but by the way, take a look into chemosynthesis. What would you do if you thought you had a calculator that could answer that question? Hey, how do I keep this cellular regeneration thing going? Yeah, it tends to run down over time. Is there a way to keep that going? Well, first we'll keep it going for another 10, 15 years, but can you get that number up to 300? Hey, Hal, can you figure that out for me? How do we make these cells keep going? Why do you all think that ChatGPT is based on asking it a question and then it gives you back an answer? Why do you all think that's what it's based on? It's literally based on you ask it a question and it gives you an answer. And they did not limit what the question could be. Can't you figure out that that's what they ultimately want to ask it? They want to ask it, hey, ChatGPT, how could I live for another 200 years? Well, here's the human cell. Can you figure out how to keep that going? What do we have to do to make that happen? And by the way, one more thing, people. The government has paid for so much of this. You do understand that that's how Palantir got started, right? Palantir is a government entity. Palantir got money from the CIA. What? No, people, I mean, this is public record. The CIA has a venture capital fund. I'm not kidding. You can look this up for yourselves. The CIA has a venture capital fund. I don't mean they took over one. I mean, they have one. It's like the CIA's equivalent of DARPA. The CIA has basically its own DARPA division to fund things. Palantir got its start being funded by the CIA to do what it does. That's where the seed money came from. I'm not speaking out of turn, people. This is public record. This isn't some spy stuff. This isn't Alex Jones. This is public record. Public record. Okay. People, do you think Donald Trump wants to live another 100 years? If the federal government did figure that out, do you realize that would become national security secret number one? They would kill people by the thousands to keep anybody else from having it. And the people in government, don't you know they would figure they need to be first in line to get it? You think the people in the American government would not demand to be first in line to get it? You think they give a damn about your neighborhood if these people are promising them, by the way, if you let us build all these data centers, we could have something powerful enough that could very possibly answer the ultimate questions: eternal life, eternal intelligence, defeating all disease. You know, if you just let us build enough of these facilities, we could have a network of computers that would be strong enough and smart enough to figure that out. Now let's put quantum computers on top of it. If you let us do that, we can figure that out. The public will be using it to make porn. By the way, when AI porn, you know, they've been talking about virtual porn for decades. When they finally get that figured out, the public will be using AI for AI porn and virtual porn, having sex with long dead movie stars. That's what the public will be using it for. Meanwhile, Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk will be like, yeah, let me get my genes redone right quick. Let me get my genes redone. You're over there watching porn or watching a custom-made sitcom or custom-made action movie, and they're over there getting their genes redone and rejuvenated. How many people did they kill to found this country simply so they could have more money? How many people did they massacre, and how ruthless were they about it just to come over here to get more money? Now, whatever they did to do that, how much more do you think they would do to get what I just talked about? Ponce de Leon's fountain, the fountain of youth. How many of us do you think they would kill to get that? Hell, to keep it. How many of your black politicians would be right in line for it? A sobering thought, I understand, but one worth having. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend, holidays, some days in between. Click that red subscribe button, click that notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. Thank you all for tuning in to tonight's program, live or recorded. Thank you all for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is not a game.